Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Betrayed by Everyone and Became Acnologia, the Dragon God of Apocalypse Part 2. Before we start, please go support Acnologia-apocalips for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Chapter 7: Mission completed and fight with the Dream Dragon and the Apocalypse. After Azazel prayed to Issei and the others saw him strange, but more Gabriel and Michael. Issei, I'm flattered, he said with a cute face that made him sweat droplets anime style. After that scene everyone went to the castle. Issei had already reached his balance breaker, everyone had already improved. The holidays were already over, and when Issei and Asia returned to the human world they met a high-class demon who wanted Asia. Not applicable, we already know who that damn demon is. And I'll also give you a few things in advance so as not to be filled with filler, and I'll also do some time jumps. After Diodorus Astaroth proposed an exchange to Rias and she refused. Step as in canon, let's get to the action. Puff narrator. Serzex told Rias that she had to fight Diodora and she accepted, and they teleworked to the battle, but when they arrived there was no one, but suddenly demons and fallen angels appeared, and in the front Diodora appeared and kidnapped Asia and went to her base. Rias, we have to get Asia back, she said seriously. Issei, but how will we do it if we are surrounded? He said seriously, that's a scream. Akeno, Kaya Akeno shouted, very blushed. Nice as, said an old man with a huge beard. Akeno, Odin-sama, don't do that, said Akeno with shame. Odin, well, I came here to help you, but you're not coming, he just said seriously, and everyone noticed that seriousness, and when they were going to ask, they all saw a purple ray coming towards them, and wondered who it was, but Odin knew who it was, and when that purple ray landed next to Odin, forming a layer of smoke, and when it dissipated everyone saw a black-haired man with a dark mark and eyes that reflected nothing, only an infinite void. Everyone tensed at the look. Issei, I just came to kill. Since the holidays ended I couldn't kill renegade demons, and now I really want to kill, he said with a macabre smile. Issei, also, you don't have to worry, Azazel, Gabriel and Serzex will come to help, but Odin and I won't get ahead, he said seriously. Now go save that damn nun, he said with a murderous look. The Gremry group went to the Diodora base. Everything was as expected. Issei versus Renee fight. What the hell am I saying? It'll be a massacre. Issei, who was next to Odin, told him that he would take care of the demons and fallen angels, and that Issei creates wings of darkness and shoots out and begins to kill right and left. Many demons were dismembered, decapitated or disemboweled. Issei killed with a crazy smile. The demons and angels were scared shitless. Then Crusary appears. In that Issei faces him, but behind him appears Serzex, Azazel, and Gabriel, who was surprised that Issei arrived first. Crusary, false Mao Lucifer, surrender, or I will eliminate you with the power that the dragon goddess of infinity granted me, he said angrily, only to extend his hand, revealing the infinity symbol. Azazel, you know you are very brilliant, worthy of the descendant of the demon, Asmodeus said with his carefree smile, and Gabriel elbowed him. What's wrong? Gabriel said to see that she pouted at him, and says not to be so carefree, and Azazel just sighs since he is like that. Issei, enough chatter, you know, stupid demon, you will be the first to receive my destruction attack, since I combined this attack with the flames of purgatory, he said coldly, something that made everyone tense, and Crusary had a bad feeling. Issei was approaching the super demon, and extended his arm and opened his hand, remaining 10 centimeters from his face, while Issei only released his dark and evil aura. Issei, before creation comes destruction, Hawkeye said Issei, and the super demon Crusary. For a moment his body multiplied and then began to scream in agony and great pain, and Issei just watched with a cold and emotionless look as he disintegrated into purple particles, and everyone saw how Crusary disappeared without leaving anything, and Serzex was in shock by the technique he did, and Azazel asked him what that technique was. Issei, that technique is called Hawkeye. A technique more powerful than the power of destruction of the Bale clan, he said seriously, and Gabriel said that at least his soul will be punished, and Issei began to laugh like a maniac. Gabriel, you know that my flames are from purgatory, and that they can burn the soul of people, he said with a macabre smile. And Gabriel had a bad feeling, as did Azazel and Serzex. That technique consists of destroying both body and soul, he said with a demonic smile, and the three of them were scared. But Issei became serious and looked up at the sky, and the three of them were confused, but when they looked up they began to sweat, since above them was a gothic Lolita. Issei, Opha said dryly, and she saw them and was slightly surprised by Issei's presence. Ophis, Acnologia, Azazel has been spending some time, he said with his emotionless voice. Everything happened in the canon. Issei had eliminated all the demons and renegade fallen angels, and when he was about to leave, the Diodora base exploded, and Issei and everyone saw Shalba, Beelzebub, and Issei in Juggernaut Drive. At that he had a déjà vu, and everyone saw how Issei beats Shalba up. They saw how Issei rips off one of his arms and then disintegrates the other. In that they saw Shalba paralyzed and Issei charged the Longuinus Smasher, and they saw how the demon Beelzebub was eliminated. But Issei was out of control, and Issei, who already knew who was going to stop her, waited for Vala to come with that damn witch. Then a crack opened where Vala Bikhau came out, and in the end Arthur came out with Asia carrying her princess style, and the Gremry group that was with Azazel, Serzex, and Gabriel went to check her if she was okay, and when they were sure, everyone turned their gaze to Issei, who was out of control. Rias, what happened to Issei? She said, worried about her pawn. Issei, apparently she thought that Nun was killed and entered Juggernaut Driver, but her transformation is incomplete, he said seriously. Vala, I'll have to restrain her after that, it's her problem, he said boredly. Everything went as planned. After Issei came back and found out that Asia was okay and became sad because her brother didn't go to help her, it was only thanks to Vala that he restrained her. Issei, good luck finding someone to recover your vitality, he said mockingly, and everyone looked at him except Vala, who already knew when entering an incomplete state of the Juggernaut Driver your lifespan will be reduced, he said smiling, and everyone was in shock. At most he will live about 10 years or less, he said. Everyone began to look for a way to recover Issei's vitality, but he seems like an individual that Vala hates with all his being. Was Rise in Livum Lucifer, and Issei was smiling since he will be able to kill him quickly, and it will be very painful with his macabre smile. Issei vs. Ryzen. Issei stood in front of Ryzvim. At that, Issei lunged, connecting a blow to his stomach, causing him to spit blood. Then he gave him a lightning blow that made him crash into the ground. At that, Issei appears and sends him to the ground, where Ryzvim recomposed himself and began to launch demonic power where Issei was not affected. At that, Issei divided into 5 of himself, and they spun around Ryzvim, where they began to attack him from various places, grinding him to death. At that, Ryzvim falls badly wounded and said that you will not be able to defeat the beast of the apocalypse, and then take a button out of his pocket where he pressed it, and where they were a seal was formed that was breaking, and Ryzvim laughed like crazy. At that, Issei does a Hakai to Ryzvim, destroying him completely. Everyone saw the seal and watched with terror as the number 666 Triaxa appeared on the seal. At that, Triaxa feels the aura of Ophis and smiles. Triaxa, but what is the infinite Loli doing here? She said mockingly, making Ophis' vein pop out. Ophis, who are you calling Loli? Old dragon, returned the insult. Triaxa was upset because she was young and hexy in her human form, and that she had to dodge a fireball, and turned her sight to a black-haired boy who in her opinion looked very handsome, but not more handsome and powerful than her beloved husband Big Red. Triaxa, who are you, insignificant dragon? She said to release her aura suddenly, which scared everyone, and Issei saw that the dragon released her aura. She had to reciprocate by releasing her evil dragonic aura, and he saw that she was surprised. Triaxa had been surprised since she had not expected an evil dragon to be equal to her, since she knew that the only more powerful evil dragon was Crom Crutches, but seeing that boy exceeded her expectations. Triaxa, who are you? He said seriously, and all the cavalry of the factions arrived, as guardians, demons, fallen, angels, and yokai. Issei, I am the dragon god of hatred and resentment, he said, causing a purple aura to increase every second, and where Issei was, a tornado of darkness formed, from which a tail came out of the tornado. And when it dissipated, the dragon that they believed was dead, and that had caused the massacre in the war, was seen. Acnologia. I am Acnologia, he said in a deep voice, and everyone was scared. With the spectators. Nobody said anything, any of the soldiers who had arrived because their leaders had told them, But when they saw the boy who was going to fight the dragon of the apocalypse, some wanted to go rescue him and others left him to his fate. But when they saw the tornado surrounding him and turning into the most feared and respected evil dragon, they froze with fear, and Michael, who went to the yokai faction so that Yasaka would join the alliance, which he accepted, and when he heard that the beast of the apocalypse was released, he ordered his soldiers to go to hell. Of the demon warriors. When they saw Acnologia they were afraid, terrified, and hated Asia for that dragon. Of the fallen. They were just a little scared since Acnologia didn't take it out on them, but among the fallen was a certain cadre who looked at Acnologia with resentment. From Los Angeles. They couldn't hate Acnologia, otherwise he would fall. Michael, I never thought I'd see that dragon again, he said with a little fear. Gabriel just lowered his head and shed a tear, and Azazel comforted her. Azazel, long time no see like that, he said with his carefree smile. Ophis didn't say anything and just looked at the most powerful dragon. With the dragons. They were surprised to see Acnologia again since they saw how he died 2,000 years ago, and some dragons looked at him with fear. These were the former dragon King Tannen and Fafnir. Even next to them were Yulong Tiamat, who saw that with sadness. Yulong, what are we going to do since we are only 3 of the 5 dragon kings, since Midgardsum is who knows where and Vritra is sealed? Tiamat could only nod as it was true, and they couldn't even risk asking the evil dragons for help. Acnologia versus Triaxa. Triaxa, I'll kill you well, he said, taking flight just like Acnologia. They began to hit each other and headbutting and biting each other. Acnologia threw a punch at Triaxa's chest which made her fall to the ground, and Acnologia climbed on top of Triaxa and put her claw on Triaxa's chest, applying pressure to break her chest, in which Triaxa fired a beam from her mouth, knocking Acnologia away, and then whipped her tail, which Acnologia dodged. Acnologia was already getting bored and decided to end this fight. Acnologia lunged at Triaxa, who did not expect that action but could not react as Acnologia bit his neck, which seemed like he was going to break it, but suddenly a huge dimensional gap opened and from it came out Great Red, which surprised everyone except Acnologia, who already knew it was coming, but Triaxa said something that made him open his mouth in surprise. Triaxa, honey, it's you, said Triaxa, happy to see her husband, and she feels Acnologia let go of her, and she shoots out Asia's arms with her dragon, and the big red one reciprocated the hug. Red, Triaxa misses you, dear, he said, hugging his wife tighter, and when they stood up, Red looked at the details and saw that she was very hurt and tired, and the big red made him angry, and he wondered who was the imbecile who hurt his partner, and he stopped when he saw a dragon that he assumed was the one who hurt her. Red, you were the one who hurt her, he said seriously, looking at Acnologia in a murderous way. Asia, the evil dragon, who felt the murderous look in her features, feeling the killer instinct of the dream dragon, couldn't breathe. Acnologia, some problem, dreamy little dragon, said mockingly, that made the factions gasp at what Acnologia said, and Red was furious but calmed down and told his wife to rest. Great Red, you factions don't even think about taking advantage of Triaxa, because if you do, I will kill you, he said in a cold voice, and the factions only nodded. Big Red versus Acnologia. Big Red lunged at Acnologia, and Acnologia Asia the same, but received a blow to the face and then a headbutt. Acnologia gave Red a tail whip that stunned him for a moment, but he recovered and then rose to the sky of the underworld, where Acnologia caught up with him, and Acnologia let out a contained roar since he wanted to have fun, and killing or knocking him out would be very boring, and Great Red responded with a full power flame, causing the attacks to collide, which formed a huge explosion that sent some flying away from the shockwave. Acnologia gave him a tail whip that made him fall to the ground, but Red recomposed himself and formed a fist of fire and shot towards Acnologia. Acnologia, seeing that he was heading with a fist of fire, accumulated magical energy in his mouth to launch it, but before firing it, he collided with the fist of fire. After 5 hours of a very close battle in the opinion of the public, since for Acnologia this was a game that had to end, Acnologia had given him a powerful blow to the head that left him unconscious, and Acnologia gave a roar of victory. And Acnologia, I am the most powerful dragon god of all time, he said proudly, and the sealed dragons cried because he finally showed that his bearer became a dragon god. Acnologia saw how the leaders approached with Ophis and Triexa, who shot out at Great Red Asia, where she began to heal him, and there was also the Gremri and Citri clan, where Rias, seeing Acnologia's power, was overcome by greed and power that without thinking she threw a spear with Samuel's poison at him, since she told him all the information about Rizvim so that he would appear. When the spear hit Acnologia's chest, he let out a cry of pain. He had forgotten how painful this poison was. After he calmed down and removed the spear from his chest, they all looked at who was the one who threw it, and they saw that it was Rias, who had the power of destruction, and threw it in Acnologia's face, but he opened his jaws, eating the power of destruction, and recovering a little. Rias, damn beast, your power has to be mine and you must obey me, she said obsessively. And /A, that hitch wants to die, yeah, that must be it. Rias, after I told Rizvim to give me that damn poison and it didn't work, he said out loud something that everyone heard, and Serzex was in shock at what his sister did. She betrayed her race just for power, and the other factions were going to lock her in Tartarus for her betrayal, but Acnologia spoke. Acnologia, it seems that no matter what dimensions you are in, you are always greedy and spoiled. I will have to kill you, he said in a deep and cold voice that was so tense that he was going to tell the leaders and gods, dragons and Serzex, to lock her up in Tartarus, of course not Lucifer. I will kill her here and now, he said, to accumulate power in his mouth and shoot Rias, disintegrating her, and the last thing that was heard from Rias was a cry of pain. But all the leaders heard Acnologia say dimensions, and they thought that if he comes from another dimension. Acnologia, Azazel has a meeting of factions in 2 God higher to rest a little. He had forgotten how painful Samuel's poison was. At that, Triexa, Great Red, and Ophis felt a tremendous chill when they felt Samuel's blood. Red, how are you still alive if the poison was supposed to destroy your body and soul? He said seriously. Triexa, you're right, not even I would survive Samuel's poison, he said seriously. Acnologia, because I am the most powerful and because this had already happened to me, he said seriously. But there were 2 women who worried about Issei. These were Vala and Issei, since their tenants warned them about that poison. Even Mio and Liz were worried about their love. Big Red, well honey, since we have the 3 dragon gods, do you want us to free the 2 celestial dragons? She said, looking at her husband. Triexa, yes, dear, because I don't want the factions to use dragons as weapons, he said seriously. Everyone's eyes widened and Acnologia's eyes were, literally, rolled back in his head, and the dragons became happy since they will be with their true love, and apologized to be with him. Ophis, that's what they want from me, Liz said in her emotionless voice. At that, the boosted gear and divine dividing materialized and the voices of the dragons echoed. Mio, of course I want to go out to be with Acnologia, said excitedly, to go out. Liz, me too, but you, my red friend, I'll be the first to go out with Acnologia, said seriously. Everyone already got an anime-style drop, and Gabriel, who saw that, was a little happy since everything ended in a happy ending, but when he saw Acnologia he saw that he was gritting his teeth. Great Red, well, if that is what you wish, I, the dragon god of dreams, will release you from your seals, he said seriously, raising his claw to Vala and Issei where they were enveloped in a red aura. Triexa, I, Triexa, the dragon goddess of the apocalypse, release you from your seals, she said, doing the same as her husband, only now the crimson aura has black touches. Ophis, I, Ophis Ouroboros, dragon goddess of infinity, free you from your seals. I said the same as Triexa and Great Red, only the aura that the 2 dragon carriers had was no longer red and black. Now the aura is surrounded with a purple touch. After that, those auras concentrated on the sacred gears, overcharging them, and then creating a smoke screen where, when it dissipates, the 2 dragons are seen in all their splendor. Mio, I'm free, he shouted with excitement. Liz, I am too, she said excitedly. The dragons celebrated the release of their sisters, as dragons are considered family, but the factions were tense as they did not know if they would fight again. Azazel, my Liz, they're not going to fight again, right? He said nervously. Liz, nope, we'll just be with our partner and live a quiet life, she said, and I just nodded. In that, Acnologia was stealthily retreating since he didn't want to have those dragons on his back all the time. But a certain Hexi cadre noticed how Acnologia was leaving, and as a little revenge she gave him away. Penemu, where do you think Acnologia-sama is going? She won't stay to celebrate Rysvim's defeat, she said maliciously, and the dragon could only click his tongue. That damn fallen angel is a hitch, although he shouldn't hate her, although he knows that she was the one who betrayed him in his dimension, but she accepted her mistake and half forgave her, but Penemy was driving him crazy. And everyone turned to see Acnologia, who was walking on tiptoe to avoid making noise and who slowly turned his head towards where the dragons were, seeing how they ran towards him and hugged him and began to cry with happiness. Acnologia, could you get away from me? He said in a cold voice to the dragons who, seeing that he still hates them, felt a tremendous pain in their chest. Besides, you're hurting my wound, he said seriously, and they noticed that he was on top of his wound and they became alarmed and apologized. Acnologia, well, I'll see you in 2 days, he said as he walked to Tannen's territory followed by the 2 celestial dragons. Everyone retreated to their homes, but Issei was hurt because she lost her partner and her brother, but when she saw her dragon form she didn't know what to think, and Ikki had fainted from the terror of seeing Triexa and hadn't woken up, and to make matters worse he had urinated and shit at the same time. In dragon territory, Acnologia walked to his old cave where he used to live with the dragons who, upon seeing his partner's old cave, had a fleeting memory come to them. Drake, what do you think to do with our counterparts, partner? Said Drake in Issei's mind. Acnologia, these 2 days I will be with them. When I go to another dimension I will leave them with an emotion of abandonment and oblivion, she responded mentally. Also I have a gift for you and Albion, she said in her mind. Albion, and what would that gift be, buddy? Albion said in his mind. Acnologia, I plan to return to our dimension, that left its tenants in shock and they were going to ask why. I want them to rest in peace, to go to the afterlife, to free their souls, and the dragons were surprised and understood that they were going to separate. Drake, because partner, said Drake with a sad voice, and Albion was the same. Acnologia, I want you to rest and not be used again, also remember I am strong now, and this is not because I do not love you but so that you will no longer use them as weapons, responded to his dragons who accepted, since when they return they will say their last goodbye to their brother friend on behalf of Drake and Albion, since in the last 3,000 years he already considered Issei his brother, and the dragons did not say anything else, and went to sleep. Acnologia had already arrived at the cave and was about to enter and began to sleep, but before sleeping he saw the dragons at the entrance looking at him with pleading, and Acnologia only cursed himself and that he would regret what he was going to do later. Acnologia, come in, she said without further ado, and the dragons came in and lay down 5 meters away from each side of me, on the left 5 meters away, and the same as Liz only on the right, and it just started to rain. 3 hours passed, and the rain was getting stronger, and Acnologia woke up because of a thunder, and when he saw the dragons he saw that they were shivering from the cold, and reluctantly he grabbed them and cuddled them next to him, and spread his wings and surrounded them as if they were blankets, and he saw that they stopped shivering. The next day, the dragons began to wake up, and what they saw made them happy and a little red, since Acnologia had them curled up next to her, and her wings covered them like blankets. They were happy and wanted to be like that for at least 1 more day, but a dragon interrupted them. Dragon, Acnologia-sama, said the dragon, causing Acnologia to wake up and look at him. A dragon challenged him for his title and his partners, he said seriously, but inside he was nervous, since in the past he was a beast and killed everyone who challenged him without mercy. Acnologia, seriously, said the black dragon, and the dragon nodded. Well, I'll see you in 10 minutes, he said seriously, and the dragon nodded and flew away. Acnologia stood up and was a little weakened due to Samuel's poison, but with the little power he has it is more than enough. 10 minutes later, Acnologia was already in Tannen's territory, and the dragon he was going to face was a white dragon with angel wings, since its wings had feathers and its element was light, and its name is Wislogia. All the dragons were surrounding the 2 dragons that were fighting, one to take the title from him, and the celestial dragons, and the other alone to defend his title. In that where Tannen was on a mountain, Serzex and Seraphol appeared with Azazel and Gabriel, and they asked Tannen what was happening, and he said that the dragon of light Wislogia challenged Acnologia for his title, and the celestial dragons. Gabriel, so the celestial dragons are the prize if Acnologia loses, she said seriously. Azazel, it seems that Acnologia does not care if the dragons go with him, he said calmly, and in that he feels the gaze of Seraphal and Gabriel, since they do not like women to be treated as a prize, and at this moment me and Liz are the prize along with Acnologia's title. Tannen: yes, but I'm not the only one who sees this. Ophis, Big Red and Triaxa also came, he said calmly, so that the factions turn their heads to the left, and there they see the three deities. Little fight between Acnologia versus Wislogia. The two dragons began to growl at each other, and then let out a roar before lunging and clawing and headbutting. Wislogia gave him a claw where the wound was, and Acnologia growled in pain, and all the dragons thought that Acnologia was going to lose. Serious mistake. Wislogia: that's all, he said, to hit him in the face. That's all you have, he said, to hit him in the face again, and Acnologia decided to kill him. I asked you if that's all, he said, screaming, but in a quick movement Acnologia gave him a swipe that caused him to tear off his lower jaw, and then bit the place where the lower jaw was next to the neck and applied pressure, and all around the place a crack was heard, a sign that his neck was broken. That Acnologia throws the corpse next to him, and gives a roar of victory. Acnologia: whoever challenges me again will end up the same or worse than him, he said in a cold voice, remembering why he was feared before, and now no one will challenge him again if they wanted to live. The spectators were in a tremendous chill as he killed him in cold blood. Tannen: luckily I didn't challenge him in the past, he said, afraid that he had died trying. With Acnologia. Acnologia went to his cave because he needed to rest and recover power, although there was a way for him to recover his power and energy quickly, but using that form is outrageous. The next day of the meeting. Lucifer Castle. Meeting room. In the room where the three factions were discussing about Acnologia, since he said that Rias is the same in all dimensions. In the room were the three dragon gods in their human forms, and also the two celestial dragons that they refused to come and that they wanted to come with their partner. But he told them to go ahead. They wanted to refuse, but with a murderous aura and a threat he stirs up any problem. Note: the human forms of Liz and mine are from their respective names. Mio is from Shermau no Testament, and Liz is from Elizabeth from Nanatsu no Taizai. Everyone was softening, and Gabriel was softening with Azazel, since Azazel declared his feelings to Gabriel, and she accepted his feelings, making Azazel happy since his god Issei fulfilled his wish. Then a magic circle the size of a puppy appeared, and from there came a chibi Acnologia. Everyone was silent. They were in shock by the form of Acnologia. Their impression disappeared when they heard Gabriel saying kawaii. And everyone saw that little Acnologia was buried in Gabriel's breast, something that made the men jealous, even Azazel, since he has not made that movement, and the dragons were releasing a killer instinct that scared the same great red who hid behind his wife, coward, and the celestial dragons in a quick movement took Acnologia's chibi from him and was sinking it into their breasts, saying that it was theirs, and the men looked at that with jealousy. Acnologia: chibi, they can let me go, or I return to my original state, or I kill them, he said coldly. But with that appearance it was difficult to take that threat seriously. The dragons just left him on the ground since they did not want him to return to his human form, since in their opinion he was cute. Azazel: okay boy, we better get started, he said seriously, and said that Acnologia chibi sits on Graphia's lap since in his dimension he sees her as an older sister. Gabriel and Triaxa let out a shriek, and the dragons just looked at that scene with jealousy, and Graphia, well, she blushes slightly since little Acnologia looked very cute in her opinion. Acnologia: chibi, what do you want to tell me? He said seriously. Surzex: we want to know if you are from this dimension, he said seriously, and everyone pays attention to little Acnologia, including Sona and even the rest of the Rias clan along with Issei and Vala. Acnologia: chibi, nope, I'm not from this dimension, he said nonchalantly, and everyone opened their eyes wide. In my dimension my name is Issei Hayadu, and there I am the current Sekiryutai, and Hakuryuku said so. That from his back and left arm the divine dividing and the boosted gird appeared, and everyone was in shock except Azazel, who already knew it since Issei had told him about the boosted gird. A deep voice spoke. Drake: nice to meet you, I'm Drake, the dragon god of domination. I used to be a celestial dragon, he said, and everyone swallowed hard at that revelation. And from the wings of divine dividing. Albion: nice to meet you, I'm Albion, the dragon god of supremacy, and before I was a celestial dragon, he said. Everyone wanted to commit suicide because Acnologia was already a very, very powerful dragon god, and having 2 more dragon gods, I think that would destroy the planet. Mine, wait, if you it's me, he said, not believing seeing his counterpart. Liz, then you are me, said, and the wings were heard the voice of Albion in a cold tone. Albion. Yes, and believe me when I tell you, we saw everything until your betrayal, said cold Albion to Asia, his counterpart, and the dragons just went down since they knew what they were talking about. Drag. And by a miracle we almost became evil dragons, thanks to the hatred and anger of seeing our partner being betrayed again, he said seriously, and everyone except Azazel raised an eyebrow, and a holographic screen was made from the glove. In that everyone saw the ancient appearance of Issei, a brown-haired boy with honey-colored eyes, and everyone saw him as a super pervert who was addicted to tits. The women covered their breasts with shameful faces and looked at Acnologia. Acnologia, Chivi, I regret that, and to clarify that it was in the past, he said seriously. Then everyone saw Issei's life as he was killed by Reincarnation, the battle with Rias Phoenix, the battle with Gabriel, and the appearance of Vala. Vala, female, wait, in your dimension I'm a man, she said in shock. Acnologia, Chivi, yup, he said simply. Everyone watched the video again and saw how Issei faced Vala, the fight with Loki. Of course, they also saw how he slowly fell in love with the girls from the hidden club. Then they saw how Issei entered Juggernaut Driver and the fight with Vala in the same thing, and the appearance of Big Red. Red, wow, even in other dimensions I'm still God, he said proudly, but received an elbow from his wife. They watched the video again and saw how Issei fought Serorg, and how Issei protected Ophis from Samuel's blood. Michael, that's why you said it had already happened to you, he said, watching Issei fall from the poison. Acnologia, yeah, but I died the first time, he said seriously. In that everyone sees how Ophis takes Issei with Great Red, creating a body with his flesh and blood, and they saw how Ophis gave him her power, reviving him. Red, so you are my son since you are made of my flesh and blood, the evil dragon said mockingly. Acnologia, Chivi, I'm not killing you just because you saved me and nothing more, and as for your flesh and blood it was eliminated, he said seriously, and Tryaxa just sighed, disappointed that she would not have a son she had enlightened when she saw that Issei was the son of Red due to his flesh and blood. Tryaxa, Moo, I thought Issei was my son, she said with a pout, and disappointed that Issei did not have her husband's blood. Acnologia, Chivi, if you want a child so badly, go to a hotel with Red, and he said as if he was talking about the weather, and the women present blushed like a tomato, and Tryaxa was red and steaming. And everyone went back to see Issei, who was fighting with the Chaos Brigade and the last battle with the Beast of the Apocalypse. Tryaxa, great, I was defeated twice, and on top of that in that state I was much weaker, and now that I notice it, this time he defeated me, but by beating, she said, frustrated since she saw that Issei defeated her, and to top it off, at that time Issei was weak. Everyone saw that the war ended 1 year after the events of Tryaxa, and they saw how he declared his harem that was made up of the Gremory clan, Sona Tsubaki, Seraphal, Gabriel, Penemu, Ophis, Yasaka, Tiamat. Azazel, wow boy, you took all the beautiful women, now I know why you knew Gabriel and Penemu's sensitive spots, he said smiling, and received 2 blows, one from Penemu and the other from Gabriel. Gabriel, but what are you doing here? You shouldn't be with them, they are not your partners, he said, seeing Acnologia's reaction. Acnologia, why would I do that? I'm not interested in them, she said in a cold voice, and everyone tensed. Everyone saw that 2 years had passed since he declared himself, and today he was going to tell them to be his wives. The women present screamed with happiness when they saw what Issei used to be. Video. Issei, Drake, because the girls distanced themselves from me a year ago, he ignores me and that hurts. Drake, I don't know, partner, but be on your guard, I have a bad feeling, he said in Issei's mind. Issei listened to his partner, and when he entered his house he saw that everything was turned off, but he heard some noises and went up to his room, but every time he got closer the noises became clearer, that were more like moans and came from his room. The leaders who saw this already knew what was happening, and just prayed that it wasn't what they thought, and the women also prayed that it wasn't them who were in the quantum. Issei opened the door a little and saw something that destroyed him and that he was beginning to hate, and what he saw was that his partners were having hex with his friend and rival Vala, and there were Ophis Gabriel Yasaka Penemu Sarah Falsona, and his queen along with the Gremry clan and Rias as leader. Acnologia-apocalips, as I said before, hypocrites and traitors, she said in a voice that did not reflect emotions, and the female counterparts who were in the video only lowered their heads in shame. They saw how Issei discovered him and said that they only used him as a toy, and they saw that they took Drake from him and left him lying in a forest, and that he was on the verge of death. But they saw how he appreciated Acnologia and told him about his reincarnation, and that Triaxa is his student. Triaxa. So in that dimension I am your student, she said, looking at Acnologia, and he nodded. Teach me, master, he said, kneeling before Acnologia. Acnologia-apocalips, nope. You're fine like this, since if you exceed your limit you will explode from overload, he said seriously, and Triaxa nodded. Everyone saw again how Asia performed the ritual to free himself from those emotions that bound him, and they saw that his gaze turned to a cold one without emotions, and that Acnologia told him that he is now an evil dragon. Then they saw how he gave the beating of their lives to the girls who betrayed Issei, and the beating he gave to Big Red. Red, I was also humiliated, he said in a depressed voice, that a larva had humiliated him. They saw how Issei was challenged again, but they saw the beating he gave to Gabriel and Rias, and what Rias said about raping his corpse, and that way he would have the family he always wanted. Everyone was silent as they saw Rias go crazy for Issei and power, also Surzex, and they already saw where Rias got how spoiled and greedy she was, and Surzex lowered his head in disappointment, and ashamed of his sister. Acnologia-apocalips, this is how it would have ended if they hadn't sent me to the dark dimension and mistreated me. Technically the cycle would be repeated, he said boredly. Gabriel, so that's why you took revenge on us for our part, and killed our loved ones. On my behalf you killed father and Penemu his sister, she said seriously, and now she understood that she hates Asia, and Penemu didn't say anything and just looked at the ground. Acnologia-apocalips, of course. Their looks full of pain and despair were a real pleasure for me, he said with an evil voice. Everyone looked back and saw how Issei killed Rias, and that he was going to wander from dimension to dimension as Great Red. Red, hey, you're copying me, he said, annoyed that they're stealing from him if he spends time. Acnologia-apocalips, I'm not interested in your opinion, said Acnologia calmly. In that everyone sees how Issei arrived and declared, and they could swear that they were about to cry. Then they saw how he beat up the 4 mouths, and when he saw Mio and Liz for the first time. Video. Acnologia. I see it, and I don't believe it, said Acnologia, and those who were watching the video heard how the dragons cried just because their counterparts are women, and mine and Liz got an anime-style drop. End of video and memories. Acnologia-apocalips, now you know who I was in the past, he said seriously, and everyone except Azazel nods. Azazel, what are you going to do, boy? Will you go back to your dimension or go to another one? Azazel asked, and everyone paid attention to him, and the dragons only prayed that he would say that he would stay, but their prayers were not heard. Acnologia-apocalips, I'm going to my dimension, he said seriously, only for him to get up from Graphia's lap and open a dimensional gap, only this one was much more powerful, and the 3 dragon gods sweated bullets since that gap was distorting reality and space. Mine? No, you can't go. You belong to us, she said seriously. Liz, we will stop you just so you can be ours, she said with determination, but what the celestial dragons received was an aura of hatred and a cold look from Acnologia. Acnologia-apocalips, think they can stop me? The only thing they will get is death, like that Crimson Hitch that because of her stubbornness ended up dead in my hands, and believe me, I will not hesitate to kill you if you go that way, he said seriously, and the dragons, remembering how their partner killed the spoiled girl just because of his stubbornness, and they wanted to live. Acnologia-apocalips, that's what I thought, he said seriously, and the little Acnologia crossed the dimensional gap. Everyone retreated to their homes, leaving only the 2 dragons with a broken heart and a pain in their chest, and Issei with a lost look since he lost his little brother, not once but twice. Issei's original dimension. Acnologia had already arrived at the dimensional gap of his world, and when he looked around he saw that Great Red was sleeping. Chapter 8 Farewell. After Acnologia arrived in his world and looked around and saw Great Red in his human form next to Ophis, and he could see that they were kissing, that left him so surprised that he almost fainted, and what he said was heard by the deities. Acnologia-apocalips, what the buck? he exclaimed in surprise, and the gods noticed. Big Red, what are you doing here, larva? Didn't you think you were going to be in another dimension? The dream dragon asked. Ophis, Issei said, the goddess of infinity in her adult state. Acnologia, okay, what did I miss, she said, looking at Big Red, and he told her since he left 10 years have passed, and that 2 years ago Ophis became his wife. In that the two deities see how Issei was in the fetal position, saying things like the little dragon of dreams always marries gods, or things like, the world is very strange. Big Red, okay, why do you say that I always marry gods, said Red, and little Acnologia looked at him. Acnologia, Chivi, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, she said, looking at Red, who only raised one eyebrow. Acnologia just sighed and told him that in the dimension he was in, the similarity in the war between the factions and that Drake and Albion were women, that did surprise Great Red and Ophis. At that, Acnologia's body emanated a light, and they could see that she returned to her human form. Issei, being in that chibi form was outrageous, he said seriously. He heard Red, do you know who your wife was in the dimension I was in? He said with some mockery. Big Red, I guess, Ophis said, and saw Issei denying it. Issei, nope, your wife is the 666 Triaxa, he said mockingly as he saw the two deities who were in shock. Ophis, and why didn't you bring the counterparts of Drake and Albion, she said curiously. Issei, well, easy. They betrayed me with Fafnir and Tannen calmly said that it was even scary, and Red and Ophis didn't expect it, and Ophis felt uncomfortable. Issei, although I already expected it, I also got a new power said to show a dark mark and eyes that reflected the infinite void and had no emotions. Issei deactivates the mark and said he would free Drake and Albion. 3 hours passed and Issei already had everything ready to free them. Drake, friend, before you free us we will give you all our power and abilities. I will give you the boost and the transfer, he said, to transfer all his power to you. Albion, I will give you the dividing and the half dimension from me, said Albion, giving him all his power. Issei, forbidden technique, soul release, said Issei, releasing Dragon and Albion, and they said goodbye to Issei when their souls went to the other world. Issei was serious, but the Ophis and Great Red saw a tear of blood run down his cheek. Goodbye, brothers, said Issei in nothingness. Issei, goodbye, Ophis, Big Red said seriously. I just came to free you, he said, to open another gap but to another dimension. Red, goodbye, Issei. Ophis, goodbye, Issei. Issei alone stepped through the gap. Issei, we begin a new adventure. Chapter 9, A World of Ninjas? And My New Carrier. After Issei crossed the gap with a bad taste in his mouth, since saying goodbye to his brothers was very painful. In fact, that was the most painful thing he had ever experienced. Issei had appeared in a forest where there were humans. The strange thing about them is that he did not feel any magic energy, so he returned to his dragon form and went to sleep since he needed to assimilate the powers of Drake and Albion, so he spent a month sleeping until some humans woke him up, and Issei saw that those humans wanted to kill him with spears, but it was useless, so Issei in his dragon form killed them and ate some of them. Time jumped 400 years. Issei had realized that here the animals speak and that they have an energy that they call natural energy. In that, Issei feels a powerful energy entering the Earth's atmosphere, and that energy was at the level of a high-class devil. But he did nothing and just went to see in his human form where that energy fell, and when he saw who that power belonged to, he saw a pale woman with pearly eyes. Issei decided to keep an eye on her in the shadows and see what she did. He saw that she met a human and a friendship formed, but years passed, more specifically 4 years, and he saw that the woman who came from heaven ambushed her and shot fire arrows at her, and he saw that she deflected them with rays that came out of her hands, and he saw that a human helped her but they killed her in the end, and he saw that she grabbed a fruit from a tree and bit it, and he felt that his power skyrocketed and was at the level of a celestial dragon but at 50%, but for him something very weak, and he saw that she transformed and had horns and a third eye on her forehead. Issei saw that the fruit that the woman ate was still there, so in a quick movement he grabbed the fruit and left there and arrived at his cave. When he reached his cave he ate the rest of the fruit, but he did not change, he continued with his appearance of a woman killer. But when he saw his reflection in a puddle he saw that he had red eyes, 3 tomos, and he saw that it disappeared instantly. Then he decided to try his dragon form, but when he entered his dragon form he saw that he had 10 tails. 16 years passed. At that time Issei trained the powers he acquired, and that the woman who long ago killed humans was called Kagaya Otsutsuki, and that she gave birth to 2 children called Hagoromo and Hamura. Issei gathered information about what that energy he felt was besides magic, and heard from Kagaya that it was chakra. Of course she told her children, and he was spying to find out what that energy was, but when he already knew what it was he frowned, since that was what that fox and the Nicomatas used, so he decided that he already had all the information, so he set out to continue training his elements, since thanks to chakra he could handle both primary and secondary elements, and also trained his Sharingan eyes and evolved them to the Mangekyo Sharingan. And another year passed, and he evolved his eyes to the eternal Mangekyo Rinnegan, and decided that he had already trained all the chakra. He returned to his 10-tailed dragon form, but Issei realized something, and that is that he could breathe in space, and that with the powers that his brothers gave them plus his power, he could easily destroy planets with 2% of his power. Another year passed, and she found out that the children of that strange woman rebelled against her, and right now they are fighting her in her Jubi form, as they call her mother in that form, so she decided to rebel and help just this once. In the battle of Jubi versus Hagoromo and Hamura. In the battle the Otsutsuki brothers were married, since they had been fighting for a whole month without rest. Hamura, brother is very strong, we can't beat her, he said, tired. Hagoromo, I know, but I have a plan there to seal her, he said to his brother, hold her back a little hunger to make the preparations. Hamura, okay brother, he said, to create ground hooks to hold her. Brother hurry up, I won't be able to hold her for long, he said tiredly while giving more chakra to his ground hooks, but he was breaking free. But to the brothers' misfortune it was released, and they were about to die by a Biju Dama. The Jubi shot Asia at the brothers, but before hitting, a black dragon with a blue striped pattern with 10 tails appeared, and they saw that it was devouring the Biju Dama until there was nothing left, but the brothers got a drop falling when they saw the dragon burp, implying that it was satisfied. Dragon, thanks for the food, woman said with a macabre smile that gave the brothers a chill. The beast roared in anger and lunged at the dragon, but the dragon swiped at it, sending it 1 kilometer away, causing the Jubi to be stunned, since that swipe was charged with a bit of magic, and the dragon looked at the brothers. Hamura, who are you? He said seriously, but inside he was nervous, because for that dragon to send his mother flying was something to be feared. Acnologia, my name is Acnologia, he said seriously. Hagoromo, what do you want from us? He said seriously. Acnologia, since that beast is bothering me and I can't sleep, so I'll help you, that's what I have to do, he said coldly, making the brothers sweat because of his tone of voice. Hagoromo, I need you to hold her back to seal the Jubi in me, then my brother and I will seal mother, he said seriously. Acnologia, okay. But you better hope it works, because if it doesn't I will destroy myself, he said with a coldness he hadn't shown since he was betrayed. Everything happened like in the story. Hagoromo became the first Jinchuriki and sealed his mother Kagaya in the moon, and his brother Hamura also went to guard his mother. Acnologia. So those are the Biju, said the dragon, looking at the spheres he had around Hagoromo's hands. You can take them out, I want to meet them, he said seriously, but deep down he was curious, since he wanted to see how they react to him, since he is twice the size of the Jubi. Hagoromo just nodded, and the spheres enlarged, showing the Bijus. Bijus, father, why did you call us? The Bijus said. Hagoromo, Shikaku, Matatabi, Isobo, Son Goku, Koko, Saiken, Chome, Gyuki, Kurama, I want to introduce you to Acnologia, the black dragon of the apocalypse and the most powerful tailed beast, he said, and all the Bijus saw the dragon that was emanating a blue light, but they saw that it was shrinking, and they saw a human, which surprised Hagoromo and the Bijus. Issei, well, human, I hope you take care of these beasts, since in my existence humans will seek their power, especially mine, he said seriously to Hagoromo. Hagoromo, I will guide you to La Paz with my children, he said seriously. Issei, well, I'm leaving. We'll see each other soon, beasts, he said, disappearing into the darkness. After that event, Hagoromo saved the Bijus to find them a home, on the path to seek peace and without wars. He taught humans chakra. He even shared his chakra with the humans who accompany him. Years passed, and Hagoromo had 2 sons, The eldest he called Indra and the youngest Ashura. Hagoromo began training his sons at the age of 8 and realized that his eldest son created the hand seals, and Issei, who watched over them, was internally surprised. Years passed and Hagoromo gave his children a test to inherit his power and gave them a mission to save some small villages. Indra finished his mission quickly and Ashura lasted longer in his mission, but the complete Hagoromo chose Ashura. N/T. I'm going to skip some things since the things I'm going to skip will just be filler. Indra left angrily and killed his 2 friends, awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan, and went to confront his brother. Everything happened as in the story. Indra promised that he would get revenge. Years passed and Indra told his father that he would reincarnate to put an iron fist on the world, and the old Rikudu told his youngest son, and Ashura proposed to reincarnate, and Hagoromo breathed his last and died. 3,000 years passed. Issei in his dragon form wandered the nations and took care of the Bijus for 2,000 years and trained them, and after finishing their training he let them roam, doing whatever they wanted, and although Issei did not admit it, he took a certain liking to the Bijus since they reminded him of his 2 brothers, but the one he took the most liking to was Matatabi, and to his surprise in the 2,000 years he was with her, she also became fond of him, and she loved him too much as a brother. But in the last 1,000 years he realized that the humans who handled chakra made their nations. One of them was the Uzumaki clan, that when seeing the red hair had the need to kill them but let it go because he saw that they were good, and the mothers were even good, and he thought that they take very good care of their children. N/T. Just wait for Kushina to arrive and we'll see if it's true that she's a good mother. Cough cough lie cough cough bad cough mother cough me. This damn cough won't leave me alone. Acnologia saw how these humans created their nations in the country of fire, this Kanhogakur, in the country of lightning Kumogakur, in the country of water Turgakur, in the country of wind Sunagakur, and in the country of earth Awagakur, and the last one that was the first to be created in the country of whirlpools Yuzuziokur. He saw how the clan war was fought, and that Madara would fight with Hashirama, and that in the end they ended the war, and but 2 years of peace passed until the first Shinobi World War broke out, as humans say, and he saw how that Uchiha was looking for him, and he let himself be found to see what he wanted. Madara, Black Dragon of the Apocalypse, you are just a mass of power, he said seriously. Acnologia, shut up, he said in a deep voice, because it bothers him that a simple human wants him for his power. Madara, only the Uchiha can guide you, he said calmly. Poor guy doesn't know who he's messing with. Acnologia, shut up, he said with the little patience he had. Madara, only these eyes will be able to dominate that accumulation of power that you are, he said seriously. Acnologia, shut up, he roared angrily. Madara, obey, he said to activate his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, but he was extremely surprised to see that it had no effect on him, and he began to sweat. Because it doesn't affect you, he said seriously. Acnologia, I was human long before the Rikudu Sannin and his eldest son had those eyes, and not even with that could he control me, he said coldly. In that he launched a purple fire from his mouth, but Madara reacts quickly and dodges it, and in a quick movement he launches his fire annihilation, but he didn't count on it eating his most powerful jutsu. Madara quickly activated his perfect Susanoo to fight the Black Dragon, but he was actually giving him a beating since his kastanas weren't cutting it. 5 Doritos later. Acnologia was on top of Madara with his somewhat broken Susanoo and was preparing a roar to kill him, but he grabbed a handful of sand from who knows where he got it from and threw sand in Acnologia's eyes, and he fired his roar at a mountain, destroying it, and Madara, taking advantage of the fact that he was blind, left quickly. When Acnologia regained his sight, he roared in fury, as his prey had escaped him. Madara was tired. He didn't think that beast was very powerful, and even less that it wasn't affected by his control of the Sharingan, so he decided he would go for the Kyuubi. Everything happened like in the story. Madara controls the Kyuubi and went to confront Hashirama, and in the end Hashirama killed Madara. He seized the Kyuubi that was awakening and saw that his wife Mito arrived with some reinforcements, and the Senju decided to seal the Kyuubi in his wife. But before he made the seal of the Grim Reaper, he saw that the Black Dragon was coming, and he was alarmed and told his wife to see and be the first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi and to get there quickly because the Black Dragon was coming. Mito quickly nodded and lay down on the ground, and the first Hokage called the Shinigami. Shinigami, what do you want, mortal? she said seriously, since she was in her free time before going to work and signing the damn little paper, and she swore that if she found the creator of that evil thing she would swear that she would give it as a torture toy to the demons and the black dragon. Author: I think someone is talking about me. Well, let's continue with the story. Hashirama: Shinigami-sama, I want you to seal the kyubi in my wife Mito Uzumaki, he said seriously, and before the Shinigami said the consequences, I already know what the consequences are, he said seriously, and the Shinigami just nodded and sealed the kyubi in Mito, and she was going to claim her soul, but she felt an evil energy and began to sweat. In that, before all the Konoha ninjas saw the 10-tailed black dragon and looked for someone. Shinigami: Mortal, you didn't tell me that Acnologia would come, you're an idiot. Okay, damn. He's more powerful than all the gods, he said nervously, something that everyone noticed and was surprised that the goddess of death is afraid of the beast of the apocalypse. He is very strong. If you asked me to seal him, you will be dreaming, since he is very powerful, he said with fear. Shinigami: Excuse me, said Manchito and went to hell. He said to leave, but a minute passes and he appears again. By the way, human, I will not take your soul, I will only take your vitality. So with that you will only live 7 days. Well, goodbye, he said to leave again. Everything was silent. Hashirama was nervous since he had no chakra and was weak. Hashirama: Acnologia-sama, what are you doing here? He said nervously since he couldn't fight him. Acnologia: I came to look for a guy called Uchiha Sasuke because that bastard tried to control me, but the idiot got too confident because I'm immune to illusions, and also because I found out that he controlled my brother Kyubi, so I came here to kill Madara, but I don't see him, he said, looking around, but saw Madara's corpse at Hashirama's feet. Acnologia: You killed him first and me, he said seriously since they took his prey. Okay, I'm leaving, he said to fly away since he knew his brother could free himself if he took his body from his container. Years passed, Hashirama died, Mito was still a Jinchuriki, and Tobirama took his position as second Hokage. Then the Second Shinobi World War was fought. The ninjas who saw Acnologia attacked him but failed in the attempt. Acnologia traveled through the elemental nations and countries like lightning, and the country of Earth tried to seal him in order to have his power, but it was impossible. He was unsealable. The war ended with Tobirama and Danzo dead. N/T. Here Danzo offers to help his sensei, and well, they both died, but the two counselors are still hungry for power. Well, the second war ended and Hiruzen became the third Hokage. A few years of peace passed, and well, the third Shinobi War began. Hiruzen makes up Team 7, made up of Obituary, Uchiha, Rin Noira, and Kakashi Hatake and Sensei Minato Namikaze. In the war, Minato became known as the Yellow Lightning of Konoha and Kushina the Bloody Havana. The war ended, but with many losses, like almost all of Minato's team, and a great hatred towards Minato and Acnologia because the Black Dragon killed some of his relatives and Minato for killing too many of his men, and a great hatred on the part of Kumo for Kushina and a little of Minato. Minato became the fourth Hokage and Kushina became pregnant with 2 boys and a girl. Everything happened like in the original story. We jump to when they take out the Kyubi. In the Leaf Village, everything was very calm until the subject summons the Kyubi. In the village, everyone runs in fear and terror. The Kyubi causes chaos, and that Minato releases the Kyubi from the masked man's clutches and arrives at the village and sees the Kyubi. But sees that in the distance comes the Black Dragon that tensed him too much, and he saw that it also came to destroy the village. So a few minutes of destruction passed, and Minato reacted and took the 2 beasts to the farthest place in Konoha. But he saw Kushina, who grabbed the 2 beasts and was tired, so she went for her 3 children, Naruto, Ikki, and Rias. Minato makes the hand possessions and summons the Shinigami. Shinigami: Now what do you want, mortal? Since the damn paperwork was finished, and he almost finished it, since if he finishes everything he will be able to have a day off, he just prayed that there would be no more paperwork when he returned. Minato: SSS Shinigami-sama, I want you to seal 50% of the yang chakra in my son Ikki and the other 50% along with the soul of the Kyubi in my daughter Rias, he said with respect to the goddess, who only nodded and had already sealed what the mortal asked for. But when he saw Acnologia again, he was going to tell him that he could not seal it, but before saying anything, Acnologia 0 signals, said Acnologia, freezing time. Shinigami: What do you want, Acnologia-sama? He said with respect. But what he said next shocked her. Acnologia: I want you to seal me in the boy with dark blue hair. he said seriously since that boy caught his attention. He was also curious about how the Jinchuriki lived since he saw in the other villages that they treat them like monsters. N/A. Naruto was born with the appearance of Acnologia. Time went back and the Shinigami sealed the dragon in Naruto, and Minato saw how they sealed the dragon in his son, but everything went well and he went to look for his wife when the two Sannin and Hiruzen arrived. Minato and Kushina, when they were going to pick up their son, Kushina was going for Naruto, but before grabbing him she saw an aura surrounding him and blue patterns appearing on his body, and Kushina and Minato, when they saw that, began to cry and curse Acnologia for taking their son. And Kurama, who saw this, face-bombed, because how could he be more of an idiot? The parents looked at Naruto with hatred, and Hiruzen did not see him that way since he assumed that there would be side effects since Ikki had 3 whisker marks. Minato, damn demon, he said furiously and with intentions of killing Naruto, but Hiruzen stopped him. Hiruzen, Minato, what are you doing? He is your son, he said seriously. Minato, no, he is the Black Dragon, he stopped being my son when the blue marks appeared, said Asian Naruto with hatred. Hiruzen, Minato, I order you to take care of Naruto, he said seriously. Minato took Naruto away with gritted teeth. After that, Minato made it public that Ikki and Rias are the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, and that he keeps them at bay so that they do not come out and destroy the village, and the villagers at first wanted their heads but later considered them heroes. But all the hatred of the village was directed at Asian Naruto since Minato said that he is the reincarnation of the Black Dragon. Time jumped 7 years. When Naruto was 3 years old, they began to torture him since he was born, since they saw him with hatred. Then, when he turned 4, Jiraiya appeared, saying a prophecy that made them forget and despise him, but the torture of the villagers and his parents still continued. His grandfather Hiruzen died 2 years ago from a heart disease that devastated him, and the only thing he had left was Satsuki, who he met 1 year ago and became his girlfriend. She was the only light. And to protect her he trained since he was 5 years old, and his brother started training 1 year ago. Today he had a date with his girlfriend and he wanted to surprise her, and he hid in some bushes and saw that his girlfriend was coming and was going to leave. He saw his brother Ikki, who did something that surprised him and destroyed him since his brother was kissing her, but what really destroyed him is that she reciprocated. Satsuki, Ikkun, why did you ask me to go out with that useless brother of yours? I only love you, said the Hichachiha. Ikki, don't worry, on my birthday we'll make our relationship public and the useless guy will be devastated when he finds out, she said arrogantly. Well, I'm leaving, the useless guy must be coming, she said to give him an ultimatum, kiss. When Naruto left, and went to Asia Satsuki, who when she saw him wanted to kiss him, but he stopped her, and said that he ended their relationship, and he said it with a cold look that would make Acnologia feel proud of Asia the boy. Satsuki was in shock, but then it passed, and she left the place, but deep inside her heart something told her that she made a very big mistake, and that at some point she would pay for it with her life. Naruto was in the streets of Konoha with a lost look, but he did not realize that some villagers and ninjas were following him, and when he realized they knocked him out, and when he woke up he was in the forest of death and the villagers and ninjas began to torture him. They beat him, stabbed him, electrocuted him, burned him, cut off his arm. After 5 hours of torture the villagers left them alone with 3 ninjas, an Uchiha, an Inuzuka and a Hyuga. Ninja, Hyuga, look at the Black Dragon. I wonder if it's big, he said to take off all his clothes, and the 3 ninjas licked their lips since Naruto's body was marked and his friend was 12 inches tall, and the ninjas took off their clothes, and well, Naruto was innocent in these things and the child looked at that confused. Naruto, what are you going to do to me? He said seriously. Ninja, Uchiha, we're just having fun, he said lustfully. Ninja, Inuzuka, just enjoy, he said with a perverted face. That afternoon Naruto learned what hex and grape were because those ninjas didn't leave him until it was dark, and they left limping and with tremendous pain in their waists. Naruto remained in the forest with a lost look and traumatized. Forgive me, mate, said a voice in Naruto's head. Naruto, who are you? He said seriously since he didn't care about anything. Get into the lotus position and concentrate, said the same voice in his head. Naruto did as requested and entered some sewers and saw a gate that had a ceiling kanji, and behind the bars was a black dragon with 10 tails, and Naruto recognized it since he read books and was interested in something about bijus and wanted to meet at least one. Naruto, Black Dragon, so my father sealed you in me, he said with a cold look, a hatred like that for his father and mother. Acnologia, wow, you're smart, and your father sealed me along with my brother, Kyubi, he said seriously, and Naruto wanted something. Naruto, because Kyubi and you attacked the village, he said seriously. Acnologia, my brother, well, an Uchiha controlled him, and on my part, I only came to destroy because I wanted to, he said boredly, and Naruto took a drop from him, anime style. Besides calling me Black Dragon, that's just a nickname that humans gave me, my name is Acnologia, he said proudly. They know something only by narrating what happened. Acnologia told him his whole story of his double betrayal, about the sage in Kagaya, and told him the names of the bijus. He also told him that he would train him. Acnologia, by the way, don't worry, those ninjas won't get pregnant since I put a seal on you making you infertile, he said, and Naruto, remembering that, shivered. Calm down, that won't happen to you again. Besides, some ninjas are coming, it seems they are 5 Chunin and 2 Jounin. That way you will get a little taste of my power since your body wouldn't be able to handle it, he said seriously, and Naruto smiled marginally. Out of mind space. The ninjas saw Naruto and were going to kill him, but he was surrounded by a purple aura and a dark mark formed on him. The ninjas were terrified when they saw those eyes and felt that killer instinct. Naruto rushed to kill them. The 5 Chunin were murdered cruelly. One was cut in half, the other one slowly ripped off his head, and the other one turned him into ground meat, and the last 2 were left like that. Fast forward from 410 to 438. Naruto then charged a roar that disintegrated the ninjas. 1 month after the birthday. All that time Naruto trained a little since his partner told him that his body will not withstand 2% of his power because he is a child. Although he told him that he was a man mentally, Naruto already had a small shiver because he remembered his grape. I'm getting off topic. Throughout this month, Naruto trained everything he had at his disposal since Acnologia told him he had the 5 elements, and that being their container he also has the secondary ones. Naruto was at the level of a low jounin, and his speed was that of an Umbu captain. At night, everyone was celebrating the heroes of Konoha and everyone was giving them gifts until Ikki caught their attention. Ikki, people, thanks for coming, and I wanted to introduce my girlfriend Satsuki Uchiha, he said with happiness and arrogance. Everyone applauded, and the Uchiha family was surprised but still happy for their daughter without knowing that she awakened the beast, and Ikki and Satsuki looked at Naruto with mockery and arrogance, but they were surprised that Naruto looked at that with disinterest, and that bothered them, and for some strange reason Satsuki's chest hurt a little. But she ignores it. N/T. I'm not going to fill her, just that here we already know that the worst parents gave him the leadership of the clans and Ikki was nominated as Hokage. Naruto was about to leave until Hyuga Issei stopped him. Naruto, what do you want, Hyuga? She said coldly, making the Hyuga tense. Issei, I just wanted to know if you really are the Black Dragon, he said seriously since he activated his Byakugan at the party, and saw Naruto, and saw that his chakra is blue. Naruto, do I look like a dragon? They just got carried away by hatred because I got these blue patterns and everyone sees me as the Black Dragon. Ikki already got whisker marks like the fox and they see him as a hero. He said seriously and walked away, leaving Issei thoughtful, and he opened his eyes in shock upon learning the truth, and now he has to tell Minato. With Naruto. Acnologia. Partner, remember what I told you in my old dimension? He said in Naruto's mind. Naruto. So your family threw you into a dark dimension where beings of darkness and chaos live, and why did you train there for 10 years? He said and asked the last curious thing. Acnologia. Well, I brought that dimension with me and modified it. Now I can increase the years at will. For example, 1 year here in that dimension would be 100 years. He said proudly for his achievement, since recreating and modifying dimensions is something difficult even for the 3 dragon gods. So Naruto nodded, and in front of him a dimensional gap appeared and he entered the dark dimension. Dark dimension. When Naruto entered, the first thing he saw was that everything was chaos. destruction, and the beasts were killing each other, eating each other, and Naruto thought that they were cannibals here. Acnologia. Get ready because we will be here for 5 years, that is, 500 years, and in these 300 years you will be able to do it on your own. I will leave the jutsus and what you need to learn in your mind, and after you've finished the 300 years, I will train you for the next 200 years. He said seriously, and Naruto was giving it to him, since in his mind a physical training was formed that was scaring him a little since he had to do things 50,000 times. Normal dimension. Issei told Naruto's parents that he was not the Black Dragon and that he explained to them that he checked his chakra and it was blue and that those blue marks were because of the power of the Black Dragon, and he told them if they don't believe him then Ikki is considered the QB child for having the whisker marks, and Minato angrily said that is due to the effects of the power of the Q. 10 seconds passed until Minato realizes what he said and matches it with Naruto, and tells what he did and explained the same thing to Kushina, and let's say that she almost lost her sanity. And Minato makes his brain work and remembers all the torture he did to his son, feeling like garbage. N/T, to be honest, since when did Minato have a brain, and if he had one, since when did he use his neurons? Then the parents went to look for Naruto in desperation, but they didn't find him. Minato went to the tower and sent the ninjas to look for his son, but they did not find him, and then he sent them to look for him throughout the country of fire. When the villagers learned that Konoha had managed to seal the Black Dragon and that its first Jinchuriki had escaped, they wasted no time in sending their ninjas to search for this living power. 3 years passed and they had not found Naruto, and Kushina had already lost her sanity. Now she was talking to herself and imagining that Naruto was still there and was hugging her, and the counselors were very furious at losing their weapon. Everything was chaos in the nations as they were desperate not to find the first Jinchuriki of the Black Dragon. 2 years passed and they hadn't found anything, and this last year Minato gave up and stopped sending his ninjas. Kushina was still lost in her mind. In the forest of death a dark gap appeared where hatred was felt, and from there Naruto comes out with a black cape and a necklace with dragon teeth that challenged him in the dark dimension. Naruto, I haven't seen this place for a while, he said seriously. Acnologia. What are you going to do, buddy? He said in Naruto's mind. Naruto. Well, tomorrow are the genin promotion exams, so today I will rest, he said seriously. Naruto. Grandpa will keep the promise I made to you. I will do everything possible so that there are no more wars, thought Naruto. Naruto. Take care of yourselves, Namake's family, because Acnologia has returned, he said coldly, and a firefly passed through his eye, mounting a red and slanted eye. Chapter 10. A genin team and a mission to the land of waves. Point 2. After Naruto left the dark dimension, he went to sleep since tomorrow were the exams to promote to genin, and unfortunately for him he has to talk to Minato. The next day, Naruto walked through the streets of the village and the civilians looked at him, but when they saw the blue patterns they looked at him with hatred and contempt as they remembered the Black Dragon, and a civilian was after Naruto to stab him. Civilian, die you damn monster, he said to try to stab him in the back, but instantly the knife broke, scaring the civilian when Naruto looked at him with red eyes slanted like a dragon. Naruto, consider yourself dead, stupid, he said seriously, and in a quick movement he gave him a blow that ripped off his head, and everyone present was scared and screamed like crazy, and Naruto just ignored that and went to the Hokage tower, but before going he heard a woman and a girl. Wife, no! My love, why is he a damn monster? She said with tears. Girl, Daddy, no, please don't leave me, Daddy, Daddy, she said repeatedly and fixed her gaze on Naruto, who was walking with his back to her. I will kill you. I will kill you. I swear I will get revenge on you, Black Dragon said with fury and hatred directed at Asia. Naruto. Naruto, I don't care what you say, since you can never kill me. At least you would need the power of a Biju to be able to hurt me, and you are a simple civilian. What could you do to me? Said Asia seriously, the girl who was scared and clenched her little fists since what Naruto said was true. In the Hokage tower, Naruto was in front of the Hokage's secretary, who looked at him with hatred for the blue marks. Secretariat. Black Dragon spat out the words with pure hatred, but Naruto let out a bit of his aura and a bit of killer instinct that made the secretary not ask to breathe well and look at Naruto with fear. Naruto, this is the Hokage, said seriously, and the secretary nods frantically. Naruto walked past the secretary, who sighed in relief that he hadn't killed her. Naruto knocked on the door and heard a doorbell coming from inside, and when he entered he found Minato, who had a blank look on his face as he was signing paperwork. Minato, what was offered to him? Minato couldn't finish because when he looked up he saw his son who tortured him all his life along with his wife. He lunged at Asian Naruto with the intention of hugging him, but before touching him he felt a sharp edge on his neck and saw that it was Naruto, who looked at him with hatred. It hurt him to see his son looking at him with hatred. Naruto, it's a good idea to touch me, Minato said Asia coldly. Her father, I just came so you could give me the papers to enter the academy, she said in a cold voice. Minato just nodded and handed him a paper and told him to give it to the teacher, and Naruto left the office. Minato, I have to tell Kushina, at least she will regain her sanity, he said to leave for his house. At the academy, Naruto was in the hallways, and when he got to his classroom he knocked twice and Iruka came out, and when he saw Naruto he looked at him with hatred and was going to close the door, but before doing so Naruto threatened him with a sword to the neck and handed him a paper, and he read it with a little fear, and when he finished reading it he got a little upset because he had to let the Black Dragon into the shinobi program. Iruka, come in when I tell you, he said annoyed and went back into the room. In the living room, there were the 9 rookies and some civilians. Among them were Rias Uzumaki and her brother Ikki Namikaze, and next to him was her ex-boyfriend since the Uchiha broke up with him since 2 years ago. His older brother Itachi Uchiha killed his entire clan, leaving her and her mother Mikoto Uchiha, the last Uchiha in Konoha. Then there is Kiba Inuzuka, who is an arrogant dog just like Ikki, who believes himself to be the shinobi god for controlling the Kyuubi power, the most powerful beast of all. And /T. The idiot wasn't told anything about the Black Dragon, so he doesn't know of its existence, since the perverted wise man told him a prophecy. Flashback 10 years ago. Everything was quiet in the Namikaze hunt. The family was eating happily. These were Minato, Kushina, Ikki and Rias. In a puff of smoke, Jiraiya appears. Jiraiya, Minato, a prophecy has appeared, he said seriously to Minato, who also became serious. Minato, what does the prophecy say? Sensei said seriously, and the others were listening without knowing that Naruto was also listening from the stairs. Jiraiya says so. From the yellow flash and the bloody habanero, a son will bear the most powerful and most malignant beast of all. If he is raised poorly, he will succumb to hatred and resentment, and will bring chaos and destruction. And/T, sorry, I'm not very good with prophecies. Minato, it must mean Ikki and Rias, they have the Kyuubi, which is a mass of hate and evil, and of course the most powerful tailed beast, he said seriously, completely forgetting about the Black Dragon. Minato, I will not let the Kyuubi sink them into darkness and hatred, he said seriously without knowing that Naruto was listening, and if Naruto heard what he said that means that Acnologia also heard it, and just facepalmed since that human was more stupid than he thought. Mental space of Rias. In a sewer you see some bars, and inside it you could see the Kyuubi listening and seeing everything. Kyuubi, Minato, you are stupid, he means my brother Acnologia, he said seriously. Kyuubi, I think these humans did not learn mathematics, he said with grace, since they would be the stupidest humans he has ever seen in his existence. Because I feel that my Jinchuriki is the reincarnation of someone. Wait, this feeling of peace is from Ashura, he said seriously. Kyuubi, great. Now my container is the fool Ashura's transmigrant. All that's missing is for that arrogant Uchiha to be Indra's transmigrant, he said sarcastically, without knowing that Kyuubi had guessed his prediction. End of flashback. Iruka, today we have a new student at the Hokage's request, he said with annoyance, and heard some complaining about him skipping the academy years. They were the Hokage's orders. If you have problems, talk to him, he said seriously, and everyone fell down. Iruka, come in and introduce yourself, Black Dragon, he said seriously, and Naruto enters the living room door, causing some women to have a level 10 nosebleed since Naruto is only wearing a trench coat and some blue umbu pants with white stripes. Naruto, my name is Naruto, that's all you need to know, he said seriously. Let's jump into something interesting since it's just going to be filler. Outside the academy were the children's parents. Mikoto was waiting for her daughter to come out, and Kushina, who was told by Minato that Naruto returned and is in the village and that he was at the academy, She got ready to see her babies since today they will be promoted to genin, and she would not miss it. Some civilians were there along with the clan leaders, each representing their clan. Then everyone sees that Naruto was leaving the academy with a serious look. The villagers and civilians called it a black dragon or monster or demon. Naruto just ignored them and sat under a tree and prepared to wait for the others. 30 minutes passed and everyone had already left. Iruka, very well, now it's time for the shurikens and kunai throwing test. Civilians pass 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. Iruka, now it's Kiba's turn. Kiba, look at this losers, he said arrogantly and throwing the shuriken and kunai, hitting 7/10 of each. Get over that, he said arrogantly. And /T, well the clan heirs got 7/10 to August 10th. Iruka, now Ikki Namikaze. Ikki, get over this, useless man, he said arrogantly to Naruto who just ignored him. Ikki got 9 out of 10 and kunai 8 out of 10. Iruka, now Rias Uzumaki. Rias walked past and hit everyone in the target. All the villagers and civilians applauded and Rias calmly left the place, and Naruto looked at her and noticed that she had no arrogance, or show-off, or anything when she hit the targets. Iruka, now Satsuki Uchiha. Satsuki went through and threw them all and hit them all on target, and Naruto saw that she used the Sharingan of 2 tomos in each eye. Then he saw that the Uchiha only had a serious look and in her eyes you could see hatred and revenge, and Naruto smiled evilly since apparently the rumors that Itachi massacred his clan leaving his sister and mother alive were true. Iruka, Naruto said seriously. Naruto stepped forward receiving hateful glances from the civilians and villagers and some ninjas from Chunin to Jounin level. Naruto just grabbed the shuriken and threw them, hitting everyone's target as well as the kunais. Iruka, 10 out of 10, he said with annoyance. Iruka, now ninjutsu test, he said, and everyone did the academy jutsus, which would be substitution, transformation and cloning, and if you know some of their respective clans, he said, and the clan heirs did their respective jutsus. Iruka, Ikki Namikaze. Ikki went through the academy jutsus and transformed into his father, and did the Rasengan, and told Naruto to get over it. Naruto goes forward and does the same as Ikki, but he transformed into Hiruzen, and when he was going to demonstrate the clan jutsus. Ikki, but what clan jutsu are you going to do if you were expelled? He said arrogantly. And Naruto's parents just lowered their heads as they did that because they were carried away by hatred, and Kushina wanted to stop that since she believed that her baby did not know elemental jutsus. Naruto, I think some of those present recognize this technique, he said seriously, and in his right hand small bubbles of blue chakra came out, and all the civilians and ninjas laughed at Naruto and Ikki too and said what a pathetic jutsu, but they fell silent when red bubbles of chakra came out. Some older ninjas knew that it was Biju chakra, and they saw that it was all joining together in Naruto's hand, forming a purple ball that some recognized. Minato, it's the Bijudama. He thought that if his son knew that technique of mass destruction, that made him nervous. Then everyone saw that he threw the chakra ball at a dummy that didn't last half a second since the attack took him to a forest, and they saw a nuclear explosion from afar, and that left the ninjas in shock and the civilians with fear, and the 2 old men looked at him with hunger for power, and Ikki looked at him with hatred and envy. After 5 minutes everyone came out of shock and Iruka was about to end the exam, but Minato interrupted him saying to do a summoning test, since Minato wanted his son to have something close to them. The only ones who passed were Ikki and Rias with their toad and slug contracts, and Minato was about to go down to give the contract to Naruto, but he saw that he said something. Naruto, I'm not going to do this test, he said seriously, and Iruka just nodded since he didn't want Naruto to kill him. All the clan heirs had already passed and became genin, and Iruka said that in 3 days the genin teams would be activated. Naruto was leaving the academy, but an Umbu interrupted him. Umbu, Naruto is requested in the council, he said seriously, and then left. Naruto just sighed as he imagined what those counselors were going to say, and in a shunshin he went to the meeting room. Meeting room. In the room were the clan leaders and the civil council and the 2 old men of the Hokage council, and in the seal was Minato. Next to him was his wife Kushina, since she decided to go since Minato told her that they would talk about Naruto, and she decided to be there to see that they did not do anything to her baby. In that, everyone sees Naruto appear in a shunshin, and he looked at them with a cold look that tensed the shinobi councils too much, and the civilians looked at him with fear and hatred. Naruto, why did you call me useless? He said seriously. Many people there were offended by the fact that an idiot civilian spoke. Civilian, I want you to kill the damn black dragon. I want you to cut off its head, said Asian Naruto with hatred. With a quick movement, he ripped off its head with his hand and threw it to the ground. Everyone looked at that in shock and fear, and Kushina, well, she didn't expect her son to kill at an early age, and she wanted to comfort him in case he felt bad killing that civilian, but when she saw his gaze she froze because his gaze was cold, and what scared her and made her sad is that her son was calm as if he had already done it 1,000 times, and it was obvious from miles away that he didn't care about the lives of others. Naruto asked again, what do you want, useless people, he said seriously. Hamura, Jinchuriki of the Black Dragon, we want him to join Root to turn him into the village's weapon, said the old man, and those of the Shinobi Council and the Hokage and his wife were going to protest, but an evil chakra was present in the room and everyone couldn't breathe and felt like their bodies were heavy, and they saw Naruto with a murderous look that they were already starting to get scared. Naruto, I think you are fools if you want me as a weapon. I will only say it once, do not come looking for me again just to carry out your orders, he said seriously. In that, Naruto was retreating, but he feels a hug and saw who was stupid or mentally retarded enough to touch him or hug him, and he saw that it was Kushina. Kushina, my baby, please come home, she said with tears and hugging Naruto even tighter. Naruto broke away from the hug and grabbed Kushina's arm and with incredible force slammed her against the ground, causing her to spit out some blood. Naruto, don't touch me, you were never my mother since I was born, he said seriously, and walking away, leaving Kushina physically and emotionally hurt. Time jump 1 week. All teams are equal. Iruka, Team 7, Satsuki Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, Ikki Namikaze, Rias Uzumaki and Naruto. Their Jounin senseis are Kakashi and Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto had already expected it and huffed in annoyance. Let's jump into the presentation. Kakashi, okay, present, name what you like and what you dislike. You go, your hair, gum, said Kakashi lazily. Sakura, my name is Sakura and my tastes are learning medical jutsus, reading and making medicinal plants. My dislikes are Ikki, perverts and rapists, and my dream is to be like the slug Sannin Tsunade, Senju said smiling. Kakashi, well, at least she's not a fangirl, but if her dream comes true I'll have to make a war bunker and I'll start making them after the Chunin exams. It's better to be safe than sorry, thought Kakashi, sweating bullets. Kakashi, now you're emo avenger, said Kakashi to Satsuki, who just growled. Satsuki, my name is Satsuki Uchiha. My likes are spending time with mom and tomatoes, and my dislikes are many things, and my dream is not a dream because it will come true. I am going to kill a certain person, she said with cold eyes, and Naruto just smiled, something that the Jounin and Satsuki noticed. Kakashi, now you are the one who thinks you have the power of the most powerful beast, he said calmly, already knowing that Naruto has the black dragon and Kushina only under his gaze, since it seemed that Kakashi knew how to differentiate between a sword and its sheath. Ikki, of course I have the power of the most powerful beast of all, the nine-tailed one. Aren't they 9 bijus, said Ikki arrogantly. Kakashi, Ikki, there are 10 bijus in total, the largest of all the beasts is the black dragon, he said seriously, and Ikki was surprised and wanted to know more and tell his father to seal him in him to make him the shinobi god. Ikki, where is that beast, or who is the Jinchuriki to give me that power, he said arrogantly, and Kushina just lowered her head disappointed and hurt. Kakashi, Ikki, Naruto is the first Jinchuriki of the Black Dragon, since in shinobi history the Black Dragon was unsealable, but your father made the seal of the Grim Reaper thus sealing the Black Dragon, he said seriously, and Ikki looked at Naruto with envy since he wanted that power. Well, we continue with the introductions. Ikki, as I was saying, my tastes are training, so that people respect me and recognize me, and ramen. My dislikes are Naruto and someone being superior to me, and my dream is to have the power of the most powerful beast, he said with envy, looking at Naruto. Kakashi sighs as it seems his sensei's son has gone a little crazy with power. N/T, yes, I went a little crazy, you don't even believe that. Kakashi, Now your hair is tomato-colored, he said boredly, receiving a murderous look from Kushina and Rias, who for a moment turned crimson red, but did not have a slit pupil, a sign that he was not using the Kyuubi's chakra. But Naruto did notice that, and the dragon that was sealed also noticed it and had a suspicion. But would have to find out more if his suspicions were true. Rias, my name is Rias Uzumaki and my tastes are ramen, training in reading and shogi. My dislikes are perverts, Ika and a certain white-haired Sannin, and my dream is not my duty to bring my brother back to the family and bring peace to the shinobi world. She said with great determination that surprised her senseis and a little Naruto, but he did not show it. Kushina, now your Naruchan, said, smiling in a motherly way at Naruto, but he just looked at her with hatred and with the intensity of killing her, something that hurt her and saddened her. Naruro, my name is Naruto, or as everyone in this damned village knows me as, the Black Dragon. My likes are killing and destroying and my dislikes are the Namikaze family, the villagers and the women of the Hyuga, Inuzuka and Uchiha clan. He said that part with hatred, and it was obvious from miles away, and everyone present was surprised. And my dream is to destroy the village. He said that part in a whisper that only the Jounin heard, who were scared and alarmed. Kakashi. This boy apparently succumbed to the Black Dragon. Now he only thinks about destroying and killing. I have to be careful. He thought seriously and decided that he had to keep an eye on his sensei's son. N/T. Yes, I know I'm skipping a lot, but it's to get ahead of this story. I'm very behind, and at least today I should have left for another dimension. That's why I'm skipping a bit, but I'll do what I can to give something reasonable. The bell test was done, but Naruto did not work as a team with anyone, and Kushina and Kakashi beat him up. In the end, everyone passed it, of course, and the Jounin were in the hospital for a week. When Minato found out that it was his son, he became sad, since apparently he hates them so much that he told his own mother in the hospital. Of course, Rias and Ikki got angry with him and tried to hit him or hurt him, but they couldn't, since Rias was advised by the Kyuubi, who told her not to continue fighting, that what she would get is the wrath of her brother Asia, but she didn't listen, and Naruto hit her so hard that she was knocked unconscious. A week later, the two children woke up, and the Jounin, who were also on a stretcher with some bandages, and looked at them with concern, and when they saw Rias they saw that from her hand she saw a black ball and surrounded by a small red cape, and she threw it at a wall, destroying it, but it didn't even leave ashes and disintegrated it as if it were the Shinton of the Tsuchika Jinoki, but to a lesser extent. Kushina, Rias, honey, how did you do that? She said, curious how her daughter did that, but she would also have to take care of her from the two elders and the civil council. Kakashi and Ikki looked at her curiously, but Ikki felt a little envious, since he wanted that power to surpass his brother and kill him. Rias, Mom, this is a new element. I call it the element of destruction, since it destroys everything and leaves nothing. It is almost similar to the dust element of the third Tsuchikage, but a little weak. She said seriously, since when she was unconscious, a woman who looked like her appeared. Flashback 2 days before waking up. In the mind of Rias. Rias was in front of the Kyuubi cage, lying down and thinking about ways to get her brother back. Kyuubi, you don't learn, right, brat? The second strongest Bija said seriously. Rias, and what did you want me to do? I couldn't let them hurt my mother, she said, upset with her tenant. Kyuubi, then those from this damn village did not hurt my older brother's Jinchuriki enough, he said coldly, and Rias remained silent. I thought so, he said, to lie down and sleep. But suddenly the Kyuubi felt a demonic presence, but it was very weak, and then he opened his eyes again and saw a woman just like his container. Gremory, wow, my reincarnation is just as beautiful as I am, she said proudly of herself and her body. With this we will get my Issei back. She thought about the last birth with obsession and madness. Note, I will call the Rias from the Naruto world Rias, and the other one I will call Rias DXD. Rias, and who are you? She said seriously, and the Kyuubi was also curious, but for some reason Kurama had the need to kill her and protect his older brother from this woman, since he notices from afar the madness and obsession in her eyes, so in a quick movement he invaded her mind and saw all her memories and was extremely surprised at this crazy Woman was his brother's ex-partner, but he was a little disappointed to know that his brother in the past was very perverted. He even compared him to his sister Matatabi, but when he saw the betrayal of his older brother, an uncontrollable anger ran through him, and that was reflected in his eyes that shone red and cried out for blood. He now understood. He hates redheads, and he saw their power, and he would lie if he didn't say that he was scared, and he saw that this woman in her last moments died for his brother, but that her soul was swallowed by a dimensional gap, and he saw that she wandered all over the earth, and he saw that she entered Kushina's stomach with all that in mind. He had to talk to his brothers, that including to Acnology. So after seeing his memories, he just looked at Rias, DXD, with hatred and anger, something that she noticed, and just smiled at such a beast. Now he could use him to tell him where his Issei is. After a talk in Rias, and being surprised that she was the reincarnation of a demon, and that she would have her powers, she gets a little excited, since with that power she would bring peace and recover her brother. N/T, Rias, DXD, told him all that bullshit about the three factions, about her relationship with her partner, and told him some lies just to get her Issei back to punish, but in the form of Hex. Damn Crimson Hitch, now I can get my revenge. Well, since now I have a little experience in torture. Mwajajajanajaja, smiling face with horns, smiling face with horns, smiling face with horns. End of flashback. After leaving the hospital, and when they went to the Hokage Tower, they saw Naruto and Satsuki, who looked at Naruto with sadness, since she seeing how he beat everyone without sweating. She wanted him back to train her and help her achieve her goal of killing her brother and restoring the clan, and she would do it with him. Something that Rias noticed, and for some strange reason something told her that she and only she could do that, and that no Hitch could approach her. Instead, Naruto just looked at Kushina coldly and hatefully, something that scared and saddened her, and Minato just sighed. Minato, well, today it's their turn to do the mission to capture Tora. He said for everyone to go out and look for the cat, and to everyone's surprise Naruto was helped this time, since in the last D-rank missions he didn't help them, since he said, "I don't help these scum." And sometimes they got into arguments with Minato, but he always wins the argument, since he reminded him of the torture that he and Kushina gave him. Kakashi, this is the Scarecrow. I can't see the target, and you said Kakashi over the radio. Kushina, here I am. I don't see the stupid cat Tebane, she said with annoyance at the nickname her son gave her. Rias, here is menstrual hair. I don't see the cat, and why? Naruto-ne gave me this nickname, she said in a sad tone, but it was noticeable that the nickname hurt her a little, and Kushina already knew the treatment Asia, her daughter. Satsuki, I don't see the Avenger here, she said seriously as always. Ikki, I don't see the banana head here. I hate you, Kakashi, he said with annoyance. Sakura, I don't see the objective here, she said with annoyance at the nickname they gave her. Naruto, here the black dragon has the object. Go to the tower, he said seriously through the communicator, and everyone overcame their tiredness, and Kushina was sad that her son accepted the nickname that everyone in this village gave him, including herself. In the tower, everyone saw the cat on Naruto's head, and it was noticeable that he was comfortable, and then they saw a fat lady come in, and saying that she was looking for Tora. Then she saw it on Naruto's head, so she went and grabbed it with an iron hug, and the other genin, and Kushina looked at the cat with malice. Then Naruto told the daimyo's wife to treat it gently or it will escape again, and the lady listened to him and saw that Tora was no longer trying to escape. Minato, well, since you already have many D-rank missions today, I will give you a C-rank one, he said, and the genin smiled, but Naruto remained serious and with his stoic expression. Everything happened as in the original story, except that Naruto mercilessly killed the demon brothers, since he left one without limbs and removed the lower half of another's body, causing his intestines and organs to come out. And when Sabuza arrived, Naruto was already fed up with him getting in his way and killed Sabuza, removing half of his chest, and also killed his umbu, and they all arrived to hunt for Tazuna. In the room, everyone was in an awkward silence, and the genin were traumatized by how cruelly Naruto killed, but inside Rias the Kyuubi called a meeting with her brothers, and all of them accepted the meeting, since it was very rare for Kurama to call the meeting, and when everyone gathered they chatted a little, and Kurama told them everything he saw of the demon and showed it to them, passing the information of their brothers. It can be said that they looked at Rias, DXD, with hatred and anger, but the most prominent was Matatabi and Kokuo, since they appreciate their brother too much, since in the Third War he freed Isabu from his Jinchuriki along with Son Goku Kokuo's Saiken Chomei. Those bijus were free only. Matatabi, Shikaku, Gyuki and Kurama were missing, but they found out that their older brother was sealed. Kurama, well, wait for me, I'm going to look for our brother, he said seriously, and the bijus nodded. Outside the biju meeting. In the living room everyone was eating, but Rias says something to Naruto. Rias, Naruto, the Kyuubi wants to talk to the Black Dragon. I don't know why, he said seriously, since he didn't trust the fox much, and everyone was in shock and Kushina was going to deny it, but Naruto looked at her in a murderous way which silenced her, and she lowered her head in sadness. Naruto's mind space. Acnologia, what does Kurama want with me, partner? Fist bump her, he said seriously, and Naruto just accepts. Out of mind space. Naruto, bump fist with me, he said seriously, and Rias accepted a little nervously, and she bumped fist with her brother, and saw now they were in his mental space, and when he saw the black dragon behind his brother he was scared beyond measure, but he saw that his brother was in his head. Acnologia, why do you want to talk to me, brother? He said seriously. Kurama, not much, just that the other bijus want to talk to you since a certain person appeared that you won't like, so let's go to the meeting with the other bijus, he said seriously, and Acnologia just nodded. Biju meeting. You can see how Kurama appeared with his Jinchuriki, and they saw his older brother Acnologia, but one of them moved at a blinding speed and hugged Acnologia by his dragon chest, and Acnologia looked down and saw that it was Matatabi who hugged him as if there was no tomorrow, and Acnologia caressed his cheeks since on his head was his Jinchuriki. Matatabi, brother, I missed you so much, he said as he pulled away and started licking her cheek for a while, and Acnologia just let him and saw that she was now under him. Image of Matatabi below. But suddenly a demonic aura was felt, but very weak, and Acnologia opened his eyes wide as he felt that aura that he knew very well who it was, and his anger increased every moment, and all the bijus broke out in a cold sweat since his brother was releasing a lot of power, and a very heavy atmosphere was forming that made it difficult for the bijus to breathe. Acnologia, I thought I killed you, Rias said in a cold voice, something that froze the bijus' chakra. Rias, DXD, well, I'm still alive, my beloved Issei, she said, looking at the dragon with desire, stubbornness and madness, something that everyone noticed, and they only glared at Rias, who got a little nervous. Also, seeing these beasts, I order them to obey me and bring Issei to my feet, she said with arrogance and authority, something that made the bijus mad, and they were about to kill her, but Acnologia stopped them. Acnologia, stop, he said in a shout, and everyone stopped. I won't kill you, Rias said seriously, and everyone opened their eyes wide. Even Rias was surprised and thought that he had forgiven her, and was going to hug him. Acnologia, I will not kill you, not today or tomorrow, but very soon I will, and this time I will destroy your soul so that you will not be reincarnated again, he said in a cold voice, and releasing his evil dragonic aura, and everyone fell silent, and after some talks and telling his brothers about their origins and about his brothers Drake and Albion, and how he freed them so that they would not be used as weapons again, and the bijus looked at him with admiration and respect, and the bijus hugged him except Shikaku and Kurama, who had their pride, and Acnologia admitted that he had become fond of everyone, especially Matatabi and Kokuo, and the bijus laughed. Acnologia, what are you laughing at? He said, annoyed. Kokuo, you were never honest with yourself, Acnologia. Until today you said that all the bijus would begin to retreat, leaving only Matatabi, Kurama and Acnologia. Matatabi, goodbye brother, he said to kiss his brother on the cheek, that he didn't care what he did. Kurama, well, what do we give? He said, looking at his container and the unconscious Crimson Hitch, since during the course of his conversation he left them unconscious so that they wouldn't know anything. Acnologia, keep an eye on that Crimson Hitch and be a little careful, since that spoiled girl has a bit of Ophis Ouroboros power, and with the training that Surzex gave her to get me back, I estimate that she has Shikaku's level, he said seriously, and Kurama nodded. See you soon, brother, he said to leave the meeting. Out of the meeting and the mental space. Those present saw that Naruto and Rias were meditating, and about 20 minutes passed like that after that they saw how they woke up. Naruto didn't say anything and started eating calmly, and everyone wanted to ask him what his Bija had told them, and Naruto just answered that it was none of their business. Everyone ate peacefully until one day a boy came up to him. This boy was Inari, the grandson of Mr. Tazuna. "Inari, what are you doing here? Cat will kill you," he said seriously. "Ikki, calm down, brat, the shinobi god is here. He won't do anything," he said arrogantly. "Inari, don't act like heroes, you don't know what pain is. While you are protected within your village," he said furiously, and Naruto just looked at him with boredom. "Naruto, boy, when your mother and grandfather despise you and hate you and torture you, and when they don't let you into your house, and you are raped by many women at an early age, and you are hated by your village and a mob of villagers chase you to kill you, come find me," he said coldly in his words, and everyone saw a dark mark appear on his forehead. After saying that, Naruto left, leaving a crying and devastated Kushina, since she now knows that her baby was raped by witches and she could not do anything to prevent it since she had let herself be guided by hatred and the genin in a state of shock. Even Tsunami was crying for what they did to that poor child. "Sakura, Kakashi-sensei, that's a lie, what Naruto said is true," he said nervously since he didn't believe that the village would do that, and the others just hoped it was a lie. "Kakashi, no Sakura, everything he said was true since the Jinchuriki are not well seen in the villages since the villagers believe that the jailers are the same beast and they are the ones who receive all the hatred of their own villages since they do everything possible so that their tailed beast does not come out, and in fact I was surprised that the black dragon had not come out since Naruto succumbed to his beast," he said seriously, and looked at Kushina who was crying non-stop. Everything happened as in the original story. Only everyone was there and the bandits would not attack Tazuna's house, and Iranian was traumatized since Naruto's gaze would not leave him, and when everyone was on the bridge, a platoon of mercenaries and a cat arrived in front of them. "Cat, wow, I didn't expect Sabuza to die anyway, I wasn't going to pay him, plus these mercenaries are cheaper and I also have A-rank ninjas, so keep them all and take the women," he said arrogantly. "Naruto, now I can kill and bathe in his blood," he said coldly, and the mercenaries laughed, but some older and more experienced ones saw the blue marks on his body, and already knowing who those marks belonged to, they got scared. "Naruto, then I will begin with my feast," he said smiling marginally while he was sitting and had one foot hanging and a small power surrounded him restricting the place where he was, and the thunder did not help at all since behind Naruto Acnologia formed and many thunders behind him. And everyone, and when I say everyone, they saw the appearance of Acnologia, and those who were more experienced were more scared. Naruto ran out, Asia, the mercenaries who were scared and did not react, and Naruto began to kill left and right. Everyone saw how he killed some of them by dismembering them or ripping off their heads, splitting them in half, and everyone saw that he was bathed in blood. "Naruto, fire style, big fireball," he said to burn a small group who screamed in agony. "Naruto, lightning style. Electric Panthers," said that 6 panthers would quickly come out to Asia, the bandits and ninjas who were dying from shock or cardiac arrest. Naruto made a killing and only half of them were left who were terrified. "Naruto, I'll end this." "Roar of the Apocalypse Dragon," he said screaming, and expelled a blue ray from his mouth that wiped out everyone, and they saw that a huge explosion occurred. Everyone froze. Naruto had massacred everyone. A week passed and the bridge was already finished, and they were going to put the Great Naruto Bridge, but Naruto said not to put that on it, to name it after Rias or Ikki, something that he didn't like, so they didn't give it names. Everyone had already returned to Konoha. Chapter 11, Chunin Exams, Invasion and Defecting 4. When everyone arrived in Konoha, the Jounin went to the tower to give the report, and the others went to do whatever they wanted. Of course, Ikki demanded that Naruto give him his tailed beast, but what he received was a blow to the stomach that left him unconscious, and Rias, who saw that, wanted to attack, but the Kyuubi warned her not to do it or she would end up worse than the last time they left her in the hospital, and Rias strangely listened to the Bija. In the tower, Kushina and Kakashi entered the office and saw Minato signing the paperwork, and it was seen that he was crying anime style, and just begging Kami to show up somewhat helplessly, but when he saw that his wife and student were in front of him, he internally thanked Kami for hearing his pleas. "Minato, mission report," he said calmly, but inside he was happy. "Kakashi, The mission went from C rank to S rank, said Kakashi seriously, and Minato also became serious and worried about what had happened to his children, something that the Jounin noticed, and Kushina just lowered her head in a sign of sadness, and Minato noticed it, and his concern increased. Kakashi told him everything that Naruto did, that he killed everything in his path. Technically he didn't need his help, and how he killed Sabuza and what he did on the bridge in the presence of the Black Dragon. Something that alarmed Minato, since he thought that the seal was weakening, and the Jounin told him that it wasn't weakening and that Naruto only used his power, and Kushina said that her baby had her purity taken away and that some witches raped her as a child. That left Minato in shock. 5 minutes passed since Minato came out of shock and was processing the information. 3 weeks passed. During these weeks, Team 7 did C, B, A rank missions, and on rare occasions they did S rank missions. Today the whole team was gathered since their senseis told them that in a week were the Chunin exams, and needless to say, Ikki signed up since he said that no one would beat the next shinobi god, and of course with his beast power. A week later, those from Team 7 were arriving at the academy since a week ago they were told that the exams would be held here, and when they arrived they saw many genin wanting to enter the door that they had planned for them was a genjutsu. Naruto, Satsuki, Sakura and Rias realized that this genjutsu was to eliminate competition, and those previously named just passed by, but it goes without saying that in Team 7 there must be a mentally retarded person who ruins everything. Ikki, remove that pathetic genjutsu. It won't stop me, the shinobi god said arrogantly, and Naruto almost facepalmed because of how stupid Ikki is. Of course that didn't stop her teammates from doing it, and Satsuki wondered if betraying Naruto for Ikki was worth it and looked at Ikki, which caused more competition, and temporarily told himself that it wasn't worth it. When the team entered they saw that there were grass ninjas, the 3 Sunin ninjas that the team recognized. N/T, and you wonder how they met. Flashback before going to the academy. Team 7 was walking. Of course Naruto received looks of hatred and fear, something that his team noticed. But knowing about the mistreatment of their Jinchurikis, they didn't say anything, and Satsuki just lowered her head since she was the straw that broke the camel's back and she wanted to fix her mistake and try to get back with Naruto. Then the team saw a square box following them, and Rias knew who they were. Rias, Konohamaru, let us follow you, he said seriously. Konohamaru, President, she discovered me, said the little boy of the Sandaime, and the boy saw Naruto. President, who is your boyfriend? He said innocently, something that made Rias blush and made Satsuki very jealous, and the beast sealed, and Naruto gritted his teeth with anger, because if they told him that his Jinchuriki likes redheads, it is as if they told him to his face that he is Rias Gremari's husband, and thinking about that he exploded in anger and told his Jinchuriki to chase the boy and teach him a lesson, and outside of Naruto's mind, Naruto was releasing a black aura with blue touches. This was the aura of Acnologia, Issei, and Rias seeing that realized that he hated women for what they did to him since he was a child, and the Kyuubi who saw that knew the reason why his older brother reacted that way, and he saw that Rias, DXD, just nodded to that boy and dedicated him to Naruto, a look of obsession and madness, and then to save that brat on a mere whim he told his container to warn the brat. Rias, Konohamaru said seriously but with a small blush, and the boy listened to his president, and saw how Naruto chased him until the boy collided with another boy but taller, and had women's makeup and a suit that looked like a kangaroo. Kangaroo, kid, don't you have eyes? He said, annoyed. Konohamaru, let me go, he said with some difficulty since he couldn't breathe. Temari, kangaroo, let him go, you won't make him come and get angry, she said nervously about what her little brother would do. Kangaroo, he won't find out, he said, to punch the boy in the face, but he never got there, and when he saw a dark blue-haired boy with blue markings, he looked at him coldly, which made the Suna boys and his team tense. Naruto, put it down or I'll kill you, said Naruto, releasing a killer instinct that far surpassed Gaara's, something that scared the Suna brothers, and Kangaroo released the boy who ran away, and then Gaara appeared. Gaara, Kangaroo, you embarrass our village, said a redhead with dark circles and sky-blue eyes coldly. I apologize for my brother, what is your name? He said, looking at Naruto and trying to scare him with his killer instinct, which made his brothers very nervous. but Naruto reciprocated by releasing his killer instinct. Naruto, my name is Naruto, he said seriously. And yours? Gaara, I am Gaara of the desert, and these are my brothers Temari and Kangaroo, he said seriously. Naruto, so you're coming to take the Chunin exams, he said seriously, and they nodded. End of flashback. Everyone saw Team 7 with intentions to kill, but then the 9 rookies appear. Kiba, it seems that we are all here, he said with an arrogant smile. Shikamaru, how troublesome, he said lazily. Ikki, it doesn't matter, I'm the next shinobi god, he said arrogantly, and everyone in the room looked at him murderously. Kabuto, they shouldn't make so much noise, said a silver-haired man. Kiba, and who are you? Kabuto, my name is Kabuto, and this is my 7th time in the Chunin exams. I am a veteran. Kabuto, wow, you're weak, he said arrogantly. Kabuto, of course, since it's my 7th time, I've gathered information that I can share with you. Just tell me the names of your villages, he said, showing some cards. In that, Kiba asked for information about Gaara and Ikki asked for information about Naruto. Kabuto, wow, you know his name, how easy, he said to take out a card and gave him a little chakra. Let's see, Gaara of the desert. He is a very strong ninja and his members are Kangaroo and Temari, and they did 35 rank D, 20 rank C and 10 rank A. It is said that in all his missions he completed them without a scratch, he said, surprised to the others, and Ikki looked at him with superiority since he has done missions of that caliber. Kabuto, let's see Naruto first. Jinchuriki of the Black Dragon said seriously, and those who were there sweated cold before that beast. It is said that Naruto has the 5 primary elements, and that if you combine some of them you can access the secondary ones like the ice element of the Yuki clan and of course the legendary Mokutan of the first Hokage. Said seriously, and some were already retreating. They did not want to meet that beast, and his team is made up of Ikki Namikaze, Satsuki Uchiha, Rias Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno, and they have completed 200D rank missions, 170C rank, 150B rank, 100A rank, 10S rank and 2SS rank, and it is rumored that Naruto is the one who does those missions, and his victims he kills in a cruel way, either mutilated by dismembering them with his hand or with his jutsus, and it is said that Naruto used a technique of the Black Dragon, and in some bandits, and in the nations it is known as the Dragon of the Massacre, since on assassination missions he massacres everyone who is in his way, he said, sweating profusely, and half of the teams from other villages left since they had that monster here that would kill them, and the look Naruto was giving did not help at all since he was smiling evilly. Ikki just clenched his fists in anger since he had remembered all those assassination missions, since in his first A-rank mission they were ordered to kill a camp of Kumo, Nin, sad-face renegade ninja of Kumo, and saying that he was afraid to kill was a lie. He was afraid to kill. Those on his team were not the same since they all killed for the first time, of course except for Naruto, who killed almost all of them naturally. N/T. Well, I'll skip this since it's just filler, and well, with what I wrote above it was already a lot, and I'll just say that Ikki was the one who gave the speech. Already in the Forest of Death, Naruto's team was looking for the Scroll of Heaven, but they had already found it, but suddenly a grass ninja appeared. Ninja? But look, just 3 Jinchurikis, 1 Uchiha and 1 civilian, said a grass ninja that we know is Orochimaru. Naruto, Orochimaru, one of the 3 legendary Sannin, said seriously as always, Naruto, something that impressed those on his team for discovering it, and Orochimaru himself too. Orochimaru, it seems that you discovered me, that it is to respect your sensory ability, said the pedophile while licking his lips. Naruto's team stood on guard. Orochimaru lunged at Satsuki, who immediately activated his 2 Tomo Sharingan, and they engaged in taijutsu. But it seemed that they were evenly matched, clearly in the opinion of Ikki, Rias and Sakura, since Naruto did know their level. N/T. You know that from now on I will call Ikki as Menma, since I get tired of correcting him so much since the autocorrect is being sissy with me, so Ikki is now Menma. Satsuki was fighting with Orochimaru. She entangled him in a tree and exclaimed her newly created jutsu. Satsuki, fire style, dragon fire jutsu, exclaimed her jutsu, and Orochimaru saw how the fire was heading towards Asia and he pierced the ninja thread. The jutsu hit Orochimaru and killed him, since only the lower half of his body remained and Satsuki was tired and injured. Orochimaru, Not bad, but with that you will not kill Itachi, said Orochimaru, appearing from the ground. But what he said angered Satsuki greatly, but she could not say anything because Orochimaru stretched his neck and bit Satsuki's neck, who screamed in pain, thus giving her the curse mark. After seeing that, Rias and Menma lunged at Orochimaru with the one-tailed cloak of Kyuubi chakra. Orochimaru easily dodged it and gave Menma the 5-point seal. But Rias forgot about it as she received a fist charged with an energy she didn't know about, and the one responsible was Naruto, as Acnologia, Issei, gave him a bit of magic since he can use both magic and chakra. Orochimaru, what was that energy? It was not chakra. That blow was very powerful, he thought with a pain in his stomach since that was the attack. Naruto, I won't let you get away, wood style, wood dragon, said Naruto, which shocked Orochimaru since a brat had the wood element. Now he was questioning if it was a good idea to mark the Uchiha, but he put his thoughts aside and could barely dodge the attack. Well, I hope the next ones are shadow clones, said Naruto, summoning 4 clones that began to do hand positions. Naruto, fire style, great fireball. The original Naruto said that he expelled a large ball that was 20 meters high and 15 meters wide. Clone 1, lightning style, Zeus lightning, said the clone who had a lightning bolt that looked more like a spear. Clone 2, wine style, void cut, said the other clone, taking out a sword from a seal he had on his wrist and making a horizontal cut. Clone 3, water style, water dragon missile jutsu, said the other clone that created water out of nowhere. Clone 4, earth style, killer spikes, said the last clone who stomped where spikes began to come out heading towards Orochimaru. Orochimaru couldn't believe it. The brat had the 5 elements and the wood element. His shock source was so great that he couldn't dodge the attacks that came towards him. He only received them and caused an explosion that alarmed those who were in the forest, and Orochimaru was in a slightly injured state since he lost the right arm and his left leg due to the wind jutsu. But before continuing like that, he opened his mouth and another new and scratch-free Orochimaru appeared from it. Naruto, Bala, you're still alive. It was to be expected you wouldn't die that easily, said Naruto seriously, and quickly lunged at Orochimaru with taijutsu. Orochimaru had to increase his power to the maximum since the blows that Naruto gave were just as strong as his former teammate Tsunade, and that strength is not to be trifled with. Orochimaru, I should have marked you. You would have been a perfect body, said Orochimaru, licking his lips and causing Naruto to give a small shiver. Naruto, pedophile, said Naruto in an expressionless way, something that made Orochimaru get a little irritated since sometimes they would say that to him, but he didn't understand why they would say that to him. He only trained the children looking for something in their bodies that would serve his plans, and of course he played with a little oil. But he had to get out of here. He still had children in his base to play with, and of course with his oil and without clothes, he had nothing of a pedophile. They continued with their fight, which was more like a beating since Naruto punched Orochimaru in the forearm, breaking it, and then gave him a powerful punch in the stomach and sent him far away, and took advantage of that moment to escape since that brat made him shed his skin 3 times, and the one he was going to do now would be the 4th time he did it. Everything was like in the original story, only that the sound team tried to kill Naruto's team, but when I say tried, I mean they couldn't since Naruto killed them cruelly since he split them in half, but they were still alive. That only left them to die slowly and painfully, and Satsuki, when she woke up the face of the mark, tried to kill Rias. But Naruto knocked her out, and Rias thanked him, but Naruto only told her that only he would kill her, which saddened her. They had already arrived at the tower. Minato gave the speech and the preliminary fight began. I'll just say the interesting ones. Jorah vs. Satsuki. This fight was like in the original story, only that Satsuki won much more easily since Orochimaru was weak and could not do anything to activate the seal since the beating that Naruto gave him was great. I forgot some parts here and I'll just skip to the fights I remember. Hate, cough, come in, cough, Kiba Inuzuka, cough, cough, and Naruto said seriously, and those present were left in a deathly silence. Kiba, we got a loser, this will be easy, he said arrogantly and jumped into the stadium, and everyone saw Naruto walking in with his serious face. Everyone tensed at his gaze and Akamaru was shaking in fear, and the examiner started the battle. Kiba, give up, loser, you can't fight an alpha, he said arrogantly, but Naruto shot out and punched Kiba in the stomach, causing him to spit blood. Damn Fong on Fong, Kiba said, turning with Akamaru and hitting Naruto, who didn't dodge it, but sent him into a wall, crashing into him. Kiba, I told you loser that I am an alpha, he said arrogantly, and the examiner was about to declare Kiba the winner when Naruto appeared and hit him back. Naruto, do you think you'll beat me? You've already forgotten what I'm capable of, he said seriously, and a red Raikiri appeared from his right hand. All the Jounin, seeing that technique and the damage it can cause, wanted to intervene, but since it was the Chunin exams, they couldn't because he wasn't yet in danger of death or in bad condition. Naruto, but I think he'll beat you to a pulp, he said with a cold voice, and with a quick movement he appeared behind Kiba, giving him a kick that sent him flying, but before he hit the wall he appeared in front of him, punching him in the stomach, causing Kiba to spit out a large amount of blood. Everyone couldn't believe that the devil would have such power. With the spectators, Team 7 just looked at that in amazement, and Menma looked at that with jealousy, since he was the son of the Hokage, and the next shinobi god needed that power. Kakashi, Kurenai, I feel sorry for your genin since Naruto killed him, he said seriously, and everyone turned to look at him, and Kushina looked at him annoyed. Kushina, my baby would never kill a fellow Leaf member, she said, upset by what Kakashi said. Kurenai, what makes you say that, Kakashi, and how Kushina-sama said it? I wouldn't kill a friend and fellow Leaf comrade, she said seriously. Kakashi, well, you know that he is the Jinchuriki of the Black Dragon, right? He said seriously, and Kurenai just nodded, and Kushina frowned in annoyance. What did that monster have to do with her baby? Well, certain people who by order of Hiruzen Sarutobi the Sandaime Hokage, ordered them to take care of him, but what they did was torture him, mistreat him, hate him with every fiber of their being, and as a result they made Naruto fall before the Black Dragon. Right now Naruto is just a puppet with a conscience of his own since he hates Asia. The people who tortured him keep him more or less sane since now he is more susceptible to the influence of the dragon inside him. He said seriously, and Kushina, who perfectly understood the hint, only cried about it but calmed down a little since she would make him return to his family since she trained everything she could to bring him back by force if necessary. If my friend's Kushina trained as much as she could, she implanted cells from the first Hokage 4 years ago and has the Mokutan and handles it equal to or better than Hashirama himself, and of course she learned the Rasengan and Hiraishin no Jutsu that took it to the next level. She can teleport at a blinding speed that can even stop time for just 5 seconds, and in her opinion if she takes the Hiraishin to the next level she can stop time all over the world, since it is a space-time technique. N/T. This idea of making Kushina so op is not mine, but it makes me laugh that Kushina thinks that with that she can bring Naruto, since we all know that Issei, Acnologia, can move space-time. In battle, I mean the death of the mangy one. Naruto had broken Kiba's arm after giving him a combo of punches that broke some of his ribs. Naruto, I told you I would beat you to a pulp, but I'm bored now and I'll kill you, he said coldly, and in a quick movement he created a Raikiri that went to Kiba's heart, who looked at him with fear and terror. The Jounin were going to intervene but they couldn't get there, and Kushina, seeing that her son would not hesitate to kill, used her own Hiraishin and the world went slow. Mental space. Acnologia, who saw the moment he teleported, became enraged because his Jinchuriki did not have that level. Of course he could match that level with 2 tails, but his container would be very worn out. But what that human did not know is that he could move time at will, and for him he saw Kushina move very slowly, and he could give that power of time to his Jinchuriki, since if his suspicions are true that this woman trained, and because she could feel the chakra of that damn Senju. Acnologia, partner, I'll give you some power of time, since that human apparently learned and improved that effeminate's technique, and because of the chakra I feel, she implanted Bakashirama cells, Acnologia said to his Jinchuriki. Naruto, okay. But if that woman doesn't give up, I'll have to kill her, he said with palpable hatred in his eyes. Out of mind. Naruto saw Kushina Asia move to stop him. Naruto, do you think you can stop me by stopping time? He said seriously, and hitting Kushina in the stomach, which made her spit blood, and she was surprised that her son had seen her move, since according to her no one could see her when she moved in time. Kushina, as you saw me, there is no way you can see my movements. I improved the Hiraishin to the next level, she said in pain. Naruto, do you think you're the only one? In case you forgot, the Black Dragon can also stop time and control it as he pleases. And therefore I can too, he said coldly. His mother and Kushina only opened their eyes in shock and fear that he could go back in time and kill them in the past. Besides, I will destroy this miserable village and all of its inhabitants, including you, he said, to return time to normal and kill Kiba. After everyone saw that death, many looked at him with hatred and shouted unpleasant things at him, and Minato wanted to do something but couldn't. Naruto, shut up, he said with annoyance, but he achieved almost nothing, or I will make the event of 13 years ago repeat itself, and this time it will not be like the last one, he said seriously, and releasing all his killer instinct that made the Genin and Chunin vomit and faint, and the Jounin could not breathe and had trouble getting up, and the Hokage and Kazekage could not move from fear, and Kushina, who at this moment was the most powerful, could stand up with difficulty. Hate, Naruto is the winner. Everyone was silent because of the murderous aura that Naruto gave off. The battles are like the original story. The next fights will be like this: Neji vs. Rias, Temari vs. Shikamaru, Kakuro vs. Naruto, Satsuki vs. Gaara, Menma vs. whoever wins the final battle. Hate, those are the finals of the Chunin exams. You have a month of training to improve. We'll see each other in a month, he said. He disappeared in a puff of smoke. All the participants left, and Naruto was about to leave but was stopped by Minato. Minato, son, do you want us to train you? He said, hoping to be closer to his son, to improve their relationship and regain his forgiveness. Naruto, no, I don't need anything from you. Go train your only two children, since that was what you said 5 years ago on their last birthday, he said coldly, and Minato just lowered his gaze. I hate everyone in this damn village, and most of all I hate you along with your family. But very soon you will truly hate me, and not like in the past, Naruto finished saying, leaving the place, and Minato had a bad feeling. Naruto passed through the village as always, receiving glances of hatred and fear. Of course he didn't care about that, but suddenly he had a very old memory of a person who treated him like a son apart from his now deceased Gigi. Flashback 5 years ago. Naruto, after committing that massacre, left, so the only person who loved him apart from the now deceased Hiruzen, Naruto went to the Senju complex, and when he arrived he knocked on the door a little loudly. If you are a pervert, you already bought a flight ticket to IWA, said a blonde woman with great attributes. Yes, this was Tsunade Senju, and when she saw Naruto she saw that he had an empty look, but in that look you could see fear and pain. Tsunade, my baby, what did they do to you? Tsunade said with tears, and pulled Naruto into a hug that made her attributes appear on Naruto's face. But Tsunade saw how Naruto was shaking with fear and told Naruto to come in. Naruto then went to the Senju complex and told her everything about his grape, which made Tsunade furious, and Naruto could swear that the house shook a little. But he also told her about the contact he had with the Black Dragon, and he saw that she was sweating, and she just nodded in understanding. Naruto, Tsunade-ka-chan, can I sleep with you? He said a little nervously, and saw that she smiled and nodded. So they went to sleep. Naruto was between Tsunade's tits, and she hugged them in a motherly way and was very disappointed with Minato and Kushina. Naruto, good night, Ka-chan, said Naruto with a small, tiny smile that showed tranquility and peace. Tsunade, good night, Sochi, said Tsunade, who also sank into Morpheus' arms. End of flashback. Acnologia-Issei, you still have someone who loves you, partner. Go and talk to her and spend as much time as you can, since if Petakimiru is here it means that there will be an invasion of Odo and Suna, since they brought my brother, and it is noticeable that his Jinchuriki is unstable, said Acnologia in his mind. Naruto, remembering those moments, shed a tear, since forgetting the person who hated him and saw him as a son and what his partner told him did not help one bit. Naruto, I will have to talk to her to leave the village, because I myself will destroy it, and I will not let anyone but me destroy it, and also tell her to stay in the Senju complex of the capital of the Fire Daimyo, there she will be safe, Naruto said in his mind, and went to the path of his adoptive mother's house. During the walk he found Jiraiya, who was looking through a hole in the fence where the women were taking a bath, and as today was the Kunoichi's day off, Jiraiya was in paradise, since in the hot springs all the hexiest Kunoichis in Konoha were, for example, Mikoto, Satsuki, Rias, Kushina, Yugao, Kurenai, Anko, and to top it off there was Tsunade. Jiraiya watched this with a stream of blood coming out of his nose and writing so fast in his notebook that it was smoking. And Naruto, seeing that, frowned and kicked him in the ass, sending him to heaven, and it looked like he was going to fall into the women's bathroom, and Jiraiya in heaven saw who it was that kicked him and saw that it was Naruto, and as revenge he stretched his ponytail and grabbed Naruto's foot, who was surprised by that move that he didn't even expect. "Acnologia, didn't you see it coming?" Acnologia said, and Naruto just cursed him. In the women's bathroom, all the kunoichis were bathing peacefully until a sound of someone falling and something breaking was heard, and all the women grabbed their weapons and prepared themselves if it was an attack. But after seeing a white hair and recognizing that band that he wears with the oil Kenji, they recognized him as Jiraiya the evil beast. "Woman, Kaiya, it's Jiraiya the perverted beast," said a woman with D-cup breasts. The kunoichis, upon hearing her say that, released their killer instinct, and Tsunade cracked her knuckles, and Kushina was in her bloody Havana mode and with a sword, and Mikoto had her MSE, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and her daughter had the 3-volume Sharingan. And Rias had the power of destruction in her hand. And Naruto, who was under some rubble, heard the nickname they gave Jiraiya and just laughed at that ridiculous nickname, and Acnologia just frowned, since thanks to that perversion they only used him as a puppet. Naruto emerged from the rubble just as they were going to massacre Jiraiya, and possibly he wouldn't have the usual luck of getting out alive. But the kunoichis, upon seeing Naruto, only increased their killing instinct, but to her surprise he didn't flinch. But those who were surprised were Tsunade, Kushina, Satsuki and Rias, the last two blushing. "Anko, it seems that we will have another one to have fun with," she said sadistically, but Naruto, upon hearing that, trembled with fear as he remembered how he was raped, and Tsunade, upon seeing that, calmed down, and then she would kill Jiraiya. But all the women saw Naruto as he trembled and just stammered. "Naruto, not again, not again, not again," he said the last part with Acnologia's voice, and his black and purple aura surrounds him like a tornado. Everyone, upon feeling Naruto's aura, trembled with fear and were about to vomit from the disgusting aura that Naruto gave off, since they could feel all the blood that Naruto shed when killing and massacring the people who stood in his way. Tsunade, who was there, didn't care that she was naked. She went and hugged her adopted son and calmed him down. "Tsunade, calm down, my baby. Nothing will happen to you while I'm here," Tsunade said in a motherly way, and saw that Naruto was falling asleep between her breasts. Naruto couldn't stand the mental stress for the first time. He could sleep without having his guard up, he could rest. Tsunade was carrying Naruto like a baby on the way out, but needless to say, the group of women didn't take that image well. "Kushina, what are you doing with my Sochi?" Tsunade said, upset that Tsunade called her baby son. She was the mother, not Tsunade. "Tsunade, well, I'll take him to my house, because thanks to what he suffered throughout his childhood and at age 6 when those women raped him, he began to hate women," he said seriously, and Kushina affected him greatly because she did not comfort him or take care of him. All she did was torture him. The women were surprised and felt ashamed and sad, first because they thought that the boy would look at them with lust, but they were extremely surprised that the boy reacted negatively, and second because it made the boy remember that trauma. Satsuki wanted to get closer to pet Naruto, but thanks to her Sharingan that had not been deactivated, she was able to dodge a kind of tail that she narrowly avoided and raised a small smoke screen. All of them, when they saw where that came from and had weapons in their hands, thinking it was an attack, but they saw a tail moving in the air, a tail that they would never forget. Those were Kurenai, Yageo, Anko, and especially Kushina and Mikoto, since that tail belongs to the Black Dragon. They saw that the tail came out of Naruto, and Tsunade just sighed, since she knew that tail comes out by instinct or by will. "Tsunade, Mikoto, I recommend that you keep your daughter away, since Naruto told me that she played with his feelings thanks to Minna. I shouldn't be surprised that Naruto hates her," she said seriously. Mikoto, listening to the Senju-Sennin, moved her daughter away from Naruto and saw that her tail was wrapped around Tsunade's waist, a sign that she did not want to separate. She sighed and went to change. When everything calmed down, they looked at Jiraiya, but there was no one there, and they just shouted to the four winds. "Kunoichi/civilians, Jiraiya!" The women screamed, and it was heard throughout Konoha. In the Hokage Tower, Minato had heard the scream and could only pray that his master had not died without knowing that he had lived in heaven and hell at the same time. He was already about to sign papers when he saw that his sensei was standing at the window, with a smile bigger than that of a certain demon who liked to broadcast massacres on the radio. Jiraiya, I just saw the birth and your wife was there. I think in a week the next Ika Harem Paradise will come out. I say this because I saw all the hexiest kunoichis in the entire village, and to top it off there was Mikoto, Satsuki, Kushina, Rias, and Tsunade, she said with a face that would make the Issei of the past envious. In a certain part of the village, a sealed evil dragon sneezed and growled very annoyed. Minato was in shock and a small vein stood out in his eye as on one hand he was surprised that he came out alive, but on the other hand he was upset that he saw his wife and daughter and was going to claim him, but he stopped him. Jiraiya, I also saw your son, Naruto said seriously. Minato was shocked and overexcited by what could happen. Minato, senseis, don't tell me that you dragged my son to the hot springs, he said with fear and terror, since he knows from his wife that he hates women, but more specifically, certain clans, and since today was the day off for some kunoichis. He was almost sure that in those waters were some from the Hyuga and Inuzuka clans and of course the last two Uchihas. Jiraiya, yes, the brat gave me a powerful kick in the ass that made me fall into the hot springs, he said with fear because of the kunoichi's intentions to kill, but more so those of Mikoto and Kushina. Of course, I also know that your son was raped and that he hates women. I heard that from Tsunade and in the private conversations you have with Kushina, he said seriously. Minato just sighed as he thought there was a massacre, but what Jiraiya told him worried him and scared him beyond measure. Since his son released a tale of the black dragon for a moment, he thought he released a tale of chakra, but his sensei told him that Naruto released the tale of the black dragon of flesh and blood, and that was why it worried and scared him. Jiraiya, well Minato, I'm going to write my book since I have the material and inspiration to do it, and I think you'll like it, he said, smiling pervertedly. Minato just sighed internally, and although he didn't admit it, he read the Ika behind his wife's back. 1 month later. They had all trained for the preliminaries. Announcer, people of Konoha, we are here to see the first battle of the Chunin exam preliminaries, he said, shouting, and the crowd applauded and shouted excitedly. Announcer, the first battle will be between Niji Hyuga versus Rias Uzumaki, he said, and everyone is obsessed with Rias, and some that another man looked at her with lust for the voluptuous body she had, something that some women looked at with envy. This is the image of Rias. Believe me, I hate her so much that I had to put my pride aside and download some images and GIFs for the story. Rias saw how most of the men looked at her like a piece of meat and the women with envy. She just sighed at this and saw how her opponent came walking naturally. Niji, give up, fate decrees that I will win, he said seriously and a little arrogant. Rias, I won't do it. I promised my family that I would bring my brother back and I don't plan on going back on my word, she said with determination. Niji just frowned. And that's how the fight between the Hyuga prodigy and the Princess of Ruin began. Rias knew that fighting a Hyuga hand-to-hand was stupid, so she used ninjutsu. Rias, wind style. Air bullet, she said, releasing a compressed air bullet that Niji managed to dodge by the skin of his teeth. The attack went past hitting the wall, which had a gap that almost went through the wall. Niji lunged directly at Rias to use the Juken to defeat her quickly. Rias, seeing this, had no choice but to fight with taijutsu, since if she moved away she would not have time to do hand positions and would only give her opponent an advantage. The two of them started to punch and kick each other, but Rias didn't realize that Niji blocked her tenketsus. Rias felt pain in her abdomen and left arm, and when they separated she noticed how she had red dots, a sign that she blocked some chakra points. Niji, give up, you know perfectly well that if you die I will not retaliate, since, as we saw that the black dragon killed the clan heir, he said seriously, and Rias became very upset, and her eyes were being covered by her hair. Rias, if you say that to my brother, he would say that it would be menstruation hair to his opponent. I'm sorry, but I had to say it. Nige, because he would do it himself. He proclaims himself as the incarnation of the black dragon, and therefore a demon, he said seriously and arrogantly, and Rias, just upon hearing them tell her brother, she burst into anger, and a red aura covered her, and Asia that her hair levitated like her mother, that hers is divided into 9, but the difference is that hers only levitated. And now with his good arm he charged all his power into it, and Niji, seeing that, was going to use the Kaiten. "Rias, you dare to insult my precious brother, you will pay!" He shouted the last thing with an explosion of power. When Rias's attack hit Niji's divine rotation, a huge explosion occurred that covered the entire battle arena. Everyone was silent, either because of what Niji and Rias said or because of the show of power. Minato and Kushina worried about their daughter and prayed to any deity for their daughter to be well, but it seemed that they would have problems with the council when they saw that their daughter exposed a new element. When the smoke screen cleared, Rias was seen on her knees and panting like a hitch in a sea. Panting, very tired and exhausted from not training that power well, since she only focused on ninjutsu and taijutsu. On the other side, Niji was seen bleeding from his mouth and forehead, a wound that left a scar on his back. Chunin, the winner of the preliminaries, Rias Uzumaki, said, and everyone was obsessed with Rias. They applauded her and gave her many compliments. When Rias was getting ready to go to the box where the next opponents were, she looked at Naruto out of the corner of her eye. Without realizing it, she stared at him for 3 seconds. That look only demonstrated obsession and madness, unhealthy love and lust. Something that did not go unnoticed by Minato and Kushina, who only saw where she looked, and were extremely surprised, and Naruto saw how that woman looked at him, and it gave him tremendous chills running down his spine. Since he felt that that woman would grape him even after he was dead, which was not so far from reality, even Acnologia gave him a chill. Naruto's mind. Acnologia, thinking seriously that Hitch is starting to scare me since he knows that he won't do anything to her since he is very powerful. That insane look that Gremory gave made his scales stand on end. Out of mind. Everything happened like in the original story. Shikamaru gave up letting Temari win. Kangaroo also surrendered for 2 simple reasons. 1 was for the plan, and 2 because he wanted to live and not die at the hands of a more twisted and unhinged version of Gaara. And Gaara's battle was the same as the canon, only Satsuki moved more agile since she had the mature Sharingan. And the attack on Konoha happened. Naruto killed left and right, but he saw how his mother was trapped in a barrier, everything but blood. Naruto rushed out of Asia's barrier in order to help his adoptive mother. When Naruto reached the barrier, he alone crossed it, leaving the Umbus surprised. Naruto saw that the 3 Sannin were gathered together, and the 4th also had to suppress the urge to kill him. Orochimaru, but look at this most touching reunion. Only one person is missing for the reunion to be memorable, and you arrive on time, Naruto-kun said, Pedofimura licking his lips with his snake tongue. Something that disgusted everyone beyond measure, and Tsunade was about to explode in anger at what her pedophile partner was going to do to her baby. Jiraiya, you are a sick friend, said Jiraiya with disgust to his teammate. Orochimaru, let's stop chatting, Edo Tensei no Jutsu, said Orochimaru. The 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd, he said, and 3 coffins came out of the ground, and those present saw that Hashirama and Tobirama came out of the 1st coffin. Tsunade was surprised and shed a few tears when she saw her grandfather and her great-uncle. Minato and Jiraiya became very serious since they were going to fight with the strongest people in the village, but the 3rd coffin also caught their attention, but Minato was a little scared since he had an idea of who the 3rd coffin was, and he looked with concern at his son, who remained serious. Orochimaru, they will fight against the 1st and 2nd Hokage, and of course I also invited our sensei, companions, he said with a sickly smile. And everyone saw that from the 3rd coffin came out none other than the Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi. Tsunade and Jiraiya shed a tear when they saw their sensei, but the one who was worse off was Naruto. He just did what he couldn't do a year ago, and that was cry freely. Tobirama. It seems that they revived us, brother, said Tobirama seriously, but he saw his great niece and also Hashirama. Hashirama, Tsunade, you are already a beautiful woman, my girl, your grandmother Mito would be proud, said Hashirama, looking at Tsunade, who could only nod and get into a combat stance. Hiruzen only saw his students, but when he saw Minato he gave him a cold look, something that did not go unnoticed by everyone. But everyone heard a small sob and saw who it belonged to and saw Naruto crying. Naruto, Grandpa, said Naruto, looking at Hiruzen, who smiled warmly at him like a grandfather taking care of his grandson. Hiruzen, it seems that you did not comply with what I ordered you, Minato, said the Sarutobi seriously. I specifically ordered you to take care of him, not to torture him with your wife. I warned you that you would regret it. Now pay for it, said the Sarutobi seriously. The first two Hokage looked at this seriously, and when they saw the boy they got nervous. Hashirama. Well, we already lost, said Hashirama very naturally, which surprised everyone and even Orochimaru himself. Tobirama. I only saw those blue marks on one being and that is it, she said just for her brother to finish talking to her. Hashirama. The black dragon. But I can't explain how they managed to seal it since not even the Shinigami herself could, since she said the black dragon was more powerful than the goddess of death. Not even with my Mokotan could I contain that beast since its immense evil chakra made my wood rot, making it weaker, said Hashirama, remembering how he tried to contain it only to fail miserably. Everything was silent as Hashirama Senju, known as the shinobi god capable of containing the tailed beasts except for one, and the worst of all, the black dragon of the apocalypse, and some also called him the dragon of desolation, death or destruction, admitted not being able to contain that beast. Acnologia. Naruto, give me control of your body to tell the Senju something, Acnologia said in his mind, which he accepted. Naruto, your little wood won't work on me, stupid Senju. Naruto spoke to the beast that is sealed inside him. Something that sent shivers down everyone's spine, as that voice was filled with power, hatred, malice, and anger. Then Minato put his neurons to work, because if the first Hokage said that the Shinigami could not seal him, then he came to the conclusion that the beast self-sealed his son so that his family would suffer this. Upon reaching that conclusion, he was only filled with hatred for that beast for making his son hate them, and without knowing it, the dragon himself fed on that emotion. Hatred and resentment was his appetizer. Of course, no one needed to know. The dragon returned control to Naruto, and he began to create a black and white Chidori. And he shot towards Hashirama, who did not react in time, but what they did not realize is that in that jutsu there was a release seal and Hashirama was destroyed. Only Tobirama, Orochimaru, and Hiruzen remained. Tsunade went straight against Tobirama and Minato, with Hiruzen and Jiraiya against Orochimaru. Naruto saw Shikaku in the distance and put on a macabre smile and left the barrier and killed everything in his path. Whether ally or enemy, he killed them either by ripping off their heads or half of their body or a part of them, leaving them to bleed to death. When he was already in front of Shikaku, he jumped and kicked him in the belly, but Shikaku swiped at him, sending him very far away. Shikaku fired a compressed air bullet at him that hit Naruto squarely. Shikaku, I'm going to kill you, and I don't care if you're the Jinchuriki of that super-developed lizard, he said with madness and mockery. Naruto was serious because that air bullet did hurt him a lot, and to top it off it almost tore off his arm due to the power, and Acnologia had a small throbbing vein because he was called a super-developed lizard. She told Naruto to use the chakra cloak of a tail. Suddenly a powerful evil chakra was felt. The shinobi of the village felt that disgusting chakra, very corrupt and demonic. The sky turned red, and those who were fighting against Shikaku were Menma, who wanted to become strong using the power of the Kyuubi, and Satsuki, who had the curse seal, and Gaara's sister. Everyone saw that a layer of bubbling chakra began to surround Naruto. 2 chakra wings emerged, and on the back of his head chakra horns began to emerge, and from it came a very sharp and dangerous double stinger tail. Everyone trembled before the powerful chakra, and Naruto shot towards Shikaku, but he didn't expect the raccoon to do a Bijudama against Naruto. He knew that if he hit him that thing would be a little out of control, not to say very hurt. Although he could devour chakra, but that chakra was very dense for his body, and not to mention that he would suffer an overload, although he could neutralize it if he used beast mode, since if he used all of Acnologia's power then his body would disintegrate and Acnologia would be free. But he said he didn't want to be free yet. Plus he had pending accounts with the Crimson Hitch, and he apparently became interested in curses and voodoo and began to practice those dark arts, and that was months ago. But getting out of that topic, he will have to charge as much dragon breath as he can in this version of his body. Naruto opened his mouth and a blue light swirled in Naruto's mouth. It was a very chaotic energy and chakra 3 centimeters away, and it was charging more and more until Shikaku / Naruto, Bijudama, slash roar of chaos, they said consecutively, and both launched their techniques that collided and created a dome of energy that expanded and destroyed everything in front of it, and Naruto and Shikaku in that path both were thrown in opposite directions. Shikaku was sent flying further away from the village as Naruto almost reached the entrance. Thanks to the impact of the shockwave, the other genin were taken away, but also thanks to the energy blast, Gaara was hit in the head by a piece of debris which caused him to wake up and the Shikaku to disappear. Everything happened as in the original story. Naruto, when he was in the tower ready to put his plan into action, when he entered the Hokage's office, he saw Kushina and his brothers. "Naruto, I'm leaving the village," he said directly, and the Namake's family except Menma went into shock at what Naruto Kushina said, crying says, "Kushina, no! You are my baby, you are my son, you must be with us," she said, not caring about her son's murderous tendencies, and hugged him with all her strength so that he wouldn't leave. "Naruto, I told you that you are not my mother, and besides I don't want you to touch me," he said after stabbing her in the stomach with his sword. Kushina spat blood. Rias, Minato and Menma were stunned for a few moments, which Naruto took advantage of, and in a quick movement he plunged his sword into the seal that contained the Kyuubi's chakra, taking all of the Bijuu's chakra with him. Naruto took out his shinobi bandana with the leaf symbol that was now crossed out by a line implying that he was a renegade. Everyone saw that and was more than surprised, and Naruto left at blinding speed, leaving the village. "Minato, Umbu's look for my son," he said desperately. "Kushina, my baby sniff, he tried to kill me sniff," he said, crying profusely and fainting from blood loss. Rias, for some strange reason, hated her brother for almost killing her mother, but on the other hand she also loved him. Menma was unconscious from the massive chakra outburst, leaving him only high Chunin level. Outside the village, Naruto ran to the borders of Kumo and trained and at least mastered the power of his only friend. "Acnologia, you know that Crimson Hitch will never give up until you return to the village, right? And the Uchiha obsessed with you will desert in order to get revenge and find you for her clan, right?" said the Dragon of the Apocalypse seriously. "Naruto, I know, but I can't care in the least about your stupid and pathetic lives," he said coldly. Naruto saw that he was almost reaching the borders of Kumo where he would become more powerful. Of course he would not join any village since they would only want him for his power. What will happen in the future? Naruto will forgive his family. What dimension will Acnologia-Issei visit? Chapter 12. I don't know what title to put. The storm and chaos begins before calm and tranquility. After Naruto deserted Konoha and his mother almost lost her sanity again, Naruto was reaching the borders of Kumo because he wanted to steal Kumo's secret jutsus like the Raikage's lightning armor, and after doing that he would go to the dark dimension to be able to master 2% of his partner's power. Acnologia, you know something, I'm starting to feel like one of my brothers is no longer there. I don't feel it anywhere in the elemental continent, and not even anywhere in the world," he said in his bearer's mind with a serious voice. "Naruto, who of the 9 was it, since defeating or capturing a Bijuu is quite difficult if not impossible," he said in his mind. "Acnologia, I think it was Isobos since he was the only Bijuu free without my help," he said seriously. Naruto didn't say anything else. He had a goal: to go to Kumo and steal the secret techniques like the lightning armor. 5 hours later, Naruto had already infiltrated the Raikage Tower. He just had to go in and out. Time skip 1 week. Naruto was in a forest by the elemental nations. He had already stolen the secret technique of Kumo. He just needed to train it. Acnologia told him that he would have to go to the dark dimension again to master his appearance, since he would not be able to control his entire power, and he would barely be able to handle 50% of 1%, but he ran into 2 Akatsuki. These were Haiden and Kakuzu, the immortal duo. "Haiden, look, the lizard has come out of its cave," said the Jashinist with a sadistic smile. Kakuzu only counted his wad of money to be sure if he was not missing it, and only looked with interest at the 10 tails Jinchuriki since his head is worth millions, and he wanted that reward that the villages that wanted him dead put on him and Konoha wanted him alive. "Haiden, you will be a worthy sacrifice for Jashin-sama," he said madly. Naruto just looks at them boredly. He was just looking for the place where his partner left the dark dimension, and Acnologia told him that it was in the center of the elemental nations, according to him, a dead end. Naruto didn't have time to think when he had to dodge a scythe from Haiden and balls of fire, air and lightning from Kakuzu. Naruto charged towards Kakuzu, who had already switched to his defense mode, as Kakuzu knew not to underestimate the Black Dragon's Jinchuriki. Naruto in a quick movement gave him a powerful punch in the back that destroyed his heart that curiously had a mask with electrical patterns. Kakuzu opened his eyes at the boy's speed, and before continuing to think he spat out blood, which was noticed by Naruto. Naruto, HMP, he has more than one heart. That explains why he heard several heartbeats, and the other one held on. I don't know what he's doing making that circle. He's crazy, Naruto thought seriously. Kakuzu made a quick movement of his threads, or whatever Kakuzu's made of, and caught Naruto by his limbs, and Naruto was trapped. Haiden, you will be a good sacrifice for Jashin-sama, damn, he said madly. Kakuzu, Haiden, remember that we need him alive for the extraction of his tailed beast, he said seriously, since this miserable brat had destroyed one of his 7 hearts, and he also wanted the reward for his head. Haiden arrived with Naruto, who struggled to get out, but Haiden with his scythe made a wound in his chest from his shoulder to his waist. The scythe was bloody and Naruto grunted in pain, and Hinda did a strange ritual. In Naruto's mind, Acnologia looked at this fight seriously. But he saw the ritual that was a curse and voodoo type at the same time, which consisted of 2 factors. The curse and voodoo part. The curse part consisted of you having to keep killing in order to remain immortal, and the voodoo part was to control the body when it was in the voodoo circle and also to be immune to pain, thus giving immortality. Acnologia, Issei, knew that if his partner did that to him he would be in trouble and he would not be able to help him since his partner was still not used to his power, and in this situation he only had 2 options left. The first, gather enough chakra to make a suicide bomb, or the second, escape even if it is somewhat humiliating. Acnologia brought Naruto into his mind space as his partner's tendons had been cut, and he was knocked out. Naruto, what's wrong? Acnologia said seriously and somewhat annoyed since those guys put him in a bind and defeated him, implying that he was still weak. Note, if you tell me that Naruto can kill them easily, the answer is no, since Naruto is similar to Issei from the anime, who is increasing in power, but he is not used to Issei's power. Acnologia. Acnologia, I have 2 options for you to get out of here. 1. Be a suicide bomber, or 2. Make a minimal explosion to give you time to escape, Acnologia said to his partner. But knowing him, he would choose the first since escaping would hurt his pride. Naruto analyzed the options and decided on the first one since he wanted to kill that foolish duo, and had some faith that he would survive the explosion. Naruto, Acnologia, I gather the power necessary for exploitation. We are going to kill this pair of fools, he said seriously. Acnologia didn't say anything because he knew that stubbornness very well, since in another situation he would have chosen the second option, but he knew that his partner was a bit proud, and for someone who lacks emotions it is something strange, but at the same time funny. It reminded him of the stubborn moments when he fought with his brother in his youth. That made him let out a small laugh. Acnologia, ha ha ha, well, I was said with some grace in the last word. Out of mind space. Kakuzu and Haiden saw Naruto's lifeless body and were ready to take him to their organization's base. But they saw how Naruto was surrounded by a bubbling black chakra. Then all the chakra swirled around Naruto, enclosing him in a dome. Haiden, hey Aburo, I feel like this is looking bad, said the masochist as he felt his chakra increasing in an enormous way. Kakuzu had a bad feeling, but when he saw that the dome was compressing more he realized what he was doing. Kakuzu, Haiden, we have to run, that brat will self-destruct, he said, running as fast as he could. Haiden, wait for me, damn it, he said, also running away. But it was too late. The explosion was reaching them only for Haiden to scream curses and then be consumed along with Kakuzu by the explosion. But without realizing it, Setsu was watching everything, and before he grabbed him the explosion was gone. The entire elemental continent shuddered at the explosion that Naruto made. Konoha. The villagers and ninjas were frightened by the earthquake they felt as some houses fell down. In the Hokage Tower, Minato felt the earthquake, and the earthquake was felt in the Namikaze house as well, and they could only think of someone who worried and scared them. Minato/Kushina/Rias, Naruto/Naruchan/my Naruto, they thought worriedly. At the Akatsuki base, everyone was gathered waiting for Haiden and Kakuzu to bring the Black Dragon Jinchuriki. But everyone felt the explosion only after 5 seconds. It stopped shaking after 1 minute. Setsu arrived telling the group about the death of both the mortal duo. Pain, the Jinchuriki turned out to be more powerful than I thought, he said in his mind. Pain, new order, look for the other Jinchuriki and leave the Black Dragon for last, there we will all face it, the Akatsuki leader said seriously. Konan/Deidara/Sasori/Itachi/Kisame/Setsu/Tobi. Yes, Leader-sama, they said in unison. Location of the explosion. You can see what used to be a busk full of life is now just a crater. And in that crater was Naruto on the verge of death, and he was missing an arm. Naruto started to move and cough up some blood, then he stood up and started walking towards the dead point of the elemental nations. In Konoha. In the Namikaze house, the family of Naruto was gathered with Jiraiya and Tsunade. Jiraiya, Minato, I'm taking Menma Iya Rias on a training trip, the Toad Sannin said seriously. Minato, why do you want to take them to train outside the village? Minato asked, since they could train them here in the village. Menma, Dad, I want to go on the training trip to be stronger than that traitor, said Menma with hatred towards that guy who used to call him a useless brother. He wanted to get revenge for what he did to him. Everyone looked at him as if he had grown a second head. They knew beforehand that Naruto was very strong. Jiraiya, that's the reason, I want to train them so that they have experience and know how to take care of themselves. And Naruto, he said seriously, since Naruto definitely knew that he was a danger to whoever got in his way, but knowing what Kushina was like, he would want to look for his son. Kushina, I will train again to find my son and bring him to the family, even if it is by force, said Kushina with determination and fire in her eyes. Tsunade, you are a hypocrite, Kushina. Naruto does not consider you a mother, and to make your situation worse he will not hesitate to kill you, said Tsunade with a serious and angry face. Kushina just frowned at him. When she gets her son back she will forbid him from seeing Tsunade, fearing that they will regain the mother and son relationship they have. The reason being that she will do everything possible to break that relationship so that her son will forge that relationship with her, a mother and son relationship. She thought the last thing. Minato just nodded to his sensei. He knew that his eldest son was a danger. He would have to prepare Rias for that because she seems more stable than Minama, since Menma is imperative and impulsive. That would cost him his life. Menma, you know pervert, train me twice as much and I will help you in your research, said Menma to transform into the Hexi Jutsu. Jiraiya reacting as normally as possible. Tsunade and Kushina had veins pop out on their foreheads from anger, and Minato had a drop of sweat come out anime style. I narrate. After that scene they had agreed to travel for 4 years and thus be stronger than their brother. Time jump 1 year. During this period of time the Akatsuki began to move to capture the Bijus, starting with the Jinchuriki of Takigakure. It took them time but they succeeded. Note: you know I'd better skip to the action since the rest is pure filler, as almost everyone knows the story and the canon. Time jump 4 years. The Akatsuki had already collected almost all the Bijus, only the 8, 9 and 10 tails were missing, but as they were collected, their organization was redistributed only to the leader who had already died fighting with Menma and Rias. And needless to say, after Naruto decertified, the Uchiha did too. After the attack on the village, a Kage summit was held and the Akatsuki leader declared war on the 5 great elemental nations without knowing that the meeting summit was a small dimensional crack, with Naruto in the dimension of chaos. Note: they changed the name so it wouldn't be too gloomy. Issei, Acnologia, literally tortured him in ways that made demons look like angels to him. Because in the dimension there were many things that would literally blow your mind because of the creatures that were in the biomes of this dimension. Everything was complete chaos, but according to his companion it was paradise. Of course, for a being of hate and chaos like his dragon companion it was paradise. Issei, Acnologia, congratulations partner, you can use my dragon form, enjoy the dark power, said Issei, Acnologia. Naruto, I will get them. Everything. I will destroy everything. Naruto said as a purple and black aura formed, and as he said that he began to grow and his voice became thicker. Naruto, I will become. Action. Aroyararara, Naruto roared, causing the creatures to run away in fear. Naruto, after getting used to the dragon form, or Bija as you prefer, returned to normal, leaving the chaos dimension. Normal dimension. After the meeting ended, the place was empty. The same place was distorted, and Naruto came out with his armor. Naruto, be ready, nations, because the apocalypse has arrived, said Naruto, smiling macabrely. Chapter 13 War. And the End. After Naruto left the Chaos Dimension, he began to kill the white Setsus that appeared to kill him. Needless to say, he killed them easily. With the elemental nations. After the meeting, the Kages made the alliance to stop Madara and prevent the resurrection of the Jubi. According to some of the oldest ninjas, said that the Jubi can fight the Black Dragon. The villages united to stop the resurgence of the Jubi. Rias left with the second division. All divisions had to face the ninjas revived by Kabuto, who used Edo Tensei and resurrected Madara. Narrates normally. Rias and the ninjas of the second division faced the third Raikage and the second Tsuchikage, but Rias, who was in Kurama Chakra mode, was able to defeat the third Raikage. Rias, this is harder than I thought, she said calmly, so that after a minute her chakra mode turned off. Gaara, try to catch your breath, there is still the third Raikage, he said seriously. Everyone was tense. The Raikage seemed like a machine that had no brakes, and that taking several of their ranks was not good, and to top it off there was still the second Tsuchikage Mu. Everything happened as in the original story. Let's go to where the Jubi appears. I clarified that at no time did Naruto appear, and those who are where the Jubi appeared were Obituary, Kakashi, Guy Killer B, Madara, and Rias. Everyone was expectant, while only Madara and Death. Rias, we have to prevent another 10 tails from resurfacing, she said, seriously, to activate Kurama mode since the Kyuubi fully trusted Rias. The reason apparently prevailed Ashura's will. Come on, old B, said Rias, already preparing a Bijudama with the Hachibi. But it was too late, the Jubi had revived. Kakashi, so that's the Jubi, he said seriously. Madara, the fun is just beginning, he said smiling as he stood on the Jubi's head along with Obito, and from the Jubi came a vine that stuck in the back of their heads. But in the clouds a colossal creature descends that would be almost the same size as the Jubi, but this imposing figure was only half the size of the Jubi. Note, it's not my greatest masterpiece, but it's an attempt. It was the other 10 tails that descended from the sky and roared at the Jubi. Kurama, you're late, what was I doing? The fox said to his older brother. Acnologia, Issei, you know, getting rid of some cockroaches along the way, he said to his furry brother. The 3 leaf shinobi and 1 cloud shinobi remained silent before this being. Knowing who was inside, they could only remain silent, since one of them did not have a face to look him in the eyes, and on the other hand they knew that if they looked at him it was almost certain that his other personality would take control, and knowing how insane that part of him was, he did not want to lose someone because of that personality, and even less when they were at war. Rias, damn. It's more horrendous than I thought, she said while Kurama mode was active. Kurama, that has no idea or emotions. You can't perceive it, let's see, that feels the same as earth, water, or normal air, the natural energy that circulates through the world, even doing the same as the sage mode, you'll see that it's something else, said to his red-haired companion who stared at the beast that let out growls every now and then. Rias, of course, if it's natural energy I can buy it as it is, she said as she began to meditate. Only for Kurama to break his illusion, as he had told him that such a thing cannot be measured. Rias, even Acnologia is almost the same but different, she thought with a few drops of sweat running down her forehead. How crazy. Naruto, don't try to measure what can't be measured, transmits the message through the mental link the Bijus had. Rias just nodded at her brother's recommendation, but then the Jubi began to attack head-on with the clear intention of charging. Gyuki, hey, are you sure we can? He said to his brothers. Kurama, don't even think about hiding in an octopus basin. First of all, give me that guy. Then I'll get him back on his feet, he said as he told Rias to go up with Kakashi. Acnologia, here he comes, keep your distance. Let's see what you can do, he said as he prepared to take the full blow. Now, he said to his brothers, causing them to back away to a safe distance. At that point the Jubi arrived where Acnologia was and raised his claw to strike the dragon, but he intercepted it with his own claw, and so did the next one. It was a show of strength. The salary where Acnologia was sinking thanks to Acnologia's evil chakra and the Jubi's natural chakra. Both energies collide, creating a mini crater where in the end a mini explosion happens, counteracting each other. Something like that, more or less. But as quickly as it came, that enthusiasm went away when he saw that the Jubi began to charge a large amount of chakra. Acnologia, split up and attack with the Bijou Damas blast. It won't be able to take on everyone, he said, for the 8 tails and the 9 tails will attack him from the flanks, but the unfortunate one didn't have Madara as an ornament. Since they repelled his Bijou Damas, and thanks to the Jubi's chakra beam he destroyed his brother's other blasts. But the attack was still directed at them, but Acnologia stood in front of the Hachibi and the Kyubi to receive the attack head-on. The explosion had generated a lot of smoke. When the smoke cleared, a tired Acnologia could be seen with some scratches, but the strange thing was that the Hachibi was not there, which disconcerted Madara, and he was dead. "Gay, Rias, don't tell me that," Gay said nervously at what he saw. "Rias, don't worry about big eyebrows, sensei," she said confidently, crossing her arms, making her breasts stand out. Acnologia, Issei, growling. "Eat shit, you bucking motherbucker," growled angrily. That confidence brought back past memories. "Kurama, good throw, you laugh. You throw tea in a good place," praised Kurama. Since Rias had launched a clone along with Kakashi on the Jubi's eye. "Kakashi, sorry about the tentacle, okay, let's go. Kamui!" he exclaimed, and a distortion in space began to appear, and from it came the 8 tails that was carrying a Bijou Dama towards the Jubi's eye. "Gyuki, I'm going to put it right in your eye," he said while firing the Bijou Dama. The Jubi looked at him with his only eye, and without any effort he raised his hand, and with his fingers he returned the attack to Gyuki that sent him flying through the sky. As Kakashi and Rias watched the Hachibi fly away, Rias had to push Kakashi away from an incoming tail of the Jubi, causing the clone to dissipate. Obito had flashbacks to when he saved Kakashi, making him frown. Acnologia, realizing that the attack was about to explode, flew out and grabbed Gyuki, and with his other hand he deflected the attack to another place, but he was still in the explosion radius, and with some effort he covered Gyuki from the explosion, and before falling to the ground he had cushioned Gyuki's fall with his body. "Acnologia, that will hurt in the morning," he said, a little tired. Going out like this with this minimal amount of power was exhausting to say the least. He also had to take care that his Jinchuriki did not destroy himself with the excessive power. Naruto, I have to go in. It will take a little time to recover from fatigue, he transmits his message to his Jinchuriki. In that both Acnologia's form was fading and the Hachibi was also entering into his Jinchuriki killer beat to regain strength. Kurama's chakra composite form had also faded. "Rias, hey Kurama. Why did you faint just now?" she said to her fox companion in her mind. "Kurama, 8 minutes, it's longer than before, but it's my limit. I'm going to create and accumulate chakra for now," he said to his partner. "Rias, there's no other choice," she thought bitterly. "Killer bee, that hurt, damn, motherbucker," he thought as the octopus tails retracted from his lower back. "Gyuki, B, I also have to rest a little, I'm at the limit," he transmitted to his Jinchuriki. "Gay, you still haven't recovered," he said to his eternal rival. "Kakashi, absorbing and taking out something as big as the Hachibi is a lot of burden," he told me, exhausted, he thought while breathing with difficulty. "Obito, it seems that the beasts ran out of chakra, although it is strange that the black dragon was supposed to have more chakra than the others. What do you think, Madara?" I asked the old Uchiha. "Madara, it's more than obvious if you saw it well before it was sealed. The black dragon here present was not even half as big as when I faced it. It's its Jinchuriki who can't bear such a load. I must give credit to the brat, an achievement that very few, if any, have achieved. Taming that part of the black dragon," said the legendary Uchiha. Then Obituary began with his villain monologue that everyone will be like him and feel what he felt. "Rias, I told you that I will be the most powerful female Hokage and bring my brother back," she said firmly. At that point, Obito ordered the Jubi to destroy them. but the attack would be deflected. At that, a member of the Yamanaka clan had used his rightful clan star to deflect the attack. At that moment, everyone from the Shinobi Alliance arrived along with those from Konoha. Hahashi Hyuga, sorry for the wait. Kakashi, Gay, said the Hyuga patriarch. At that point, some of the Aburaim clan used the insect interference technique along with the Kiri ninjas who used their famous technique of hiding in the mist. The Aoi squad that helped B also arrived, and the other divisions of the Alliance also arrived along with the medical ninjas along with Shizen. Kushina had also arrived. Rias, Mom, she said, happy that her mother was here. Kushina, sorry for the delay, Princess, there were some insects on the way, she said, smiling while the fun that was with her had faces of trauma. Kushina looked around for her son and found him standing next to Kakashi, but he had some scratches, but they were healing. She wanted to go and see if he was okay, but a threatening look stopped her from doing anything. It was her son who looked at her with disdain. That look was already the warning he was sending her that if she took another step she would not respond to what he would do. Rias, we are no longer a gang, said Rias confidently. At that point the Kumo ninjas approached to mow down the Jubi using the lightning technique, pillars of lightning. And the laser field, but one of those lasers Hiba Asia Madara, but thanks to the Rinnegan he could absorb the chakra. At that the Suna ninjas used their wind-style jutsus. The IWA people used their jutsus, massive earth movements. Those cuts in the ground caused the Jubi to sink into a large square-shaped hole. While those with lava element bloodlines used the hardened lime that looked like cement. While the Kiri people used their water bullet. And those of the leaf used fire jutsus, thus hardening the cement. In that, those of the Alliance launched the attack before it was released. Some already prepared their best jutsus along with Rias that had a raisin shuriken with the power of destruction. But the Jubi had changed. It transformed into a humanoid form. Madara and Obito had to use Hashirama's cells to better control the 10 tails. At that point the Jubi prepares a cone-shaped Bijudama. But some rock ninjas performed the earth pillar jutsu to throw the Jubi off balance. The Bijou lady had created a tremendous explanation that could be seen from miles away. And so it continued until one of those attacks hit the headquarters. Kushina, Shikaku Noichi, how am I going to tell Yoshino and Yoru this? Thought sadly about how her friends would feel. Rias saw this and didn't say anything, but one of the Jubi's tails Hiba Asia her, but both Ninji and a member of the clan did the rotation. But Obito uses the wood-style piercing stakes to kill a handful of the Alliance. But since Kushina also has the wood release, she put a barrier in front of her daughter. Some were able to free themselves from the attack. Few were that lucky, and among those few was Niji. At that point, Obito was already furious and wrapped himself in the Jubi's tails and used the Bijudama to annihilate the Alliance that was at his feet, but he didn't see how a white bird was in the sky. It was Killer Bee who had already recovered and transformed into a Hachibi with a Bijudama ready. When the Bijudama was in his mouth, it stayed inside the Jubi, but Gyuki pushed it with his own, causing the two to lock together, making it swell like a bomb, but it didn't explode. Rias, who was with her mother, grabbed her hand and shared Kurama's chakra with her. Naruto, Acnologia, if I do the same as that woman, I wouldn't get so tired from receiving counteracting power and sharing it with others, he said in his mind to his friend. Acnologia, Issei, in theory yes you can, but unlike my brothers my energy is more volatile, but with the transfer skill I can give them the necessary chakra so that they do not suffer the consequences. Go ahead and do it, he said in his mind to his Jinchuriki. At that, Naruto creates 3 shadow clones and orders them to give Bijou chakra to the Shinobi Alliance. Rias, brother? She said hesitantly, and then smiled fondly at him, thinking that her brother was helping her. Naruto, don't let anything weird go through your head, he did it so he wouldn't be so tired, he said seriously. Rias just sighed with resignation, but still with the determination to bring him back even if it takes her entire life. The entire alliance was ignited by the chakra of the 9 and 10 tails Bijou, enhancing their jutsus and giving them a shield, but those who had Acnologia's chakra had the advantage of having unlimited chakra since Acnologia is the battery and those who were given Shaka are the drivers. Although they didn't need to know that. In that, Obito ordered the Jubi to attack the shinobi with the tails that looked like hands, but a Hyuga stopped it with an air palm, in that other things come close to attack but are intercepted by the Akimichi clan. Then Ino uses her signature jutsu towards the Jubi that she directly affected in death. Those of the Nara clan use their shadow possession jutsu, possessing the tail that is attacking. Madara, seeing the situation, tried to help Obito by taking out other tails of the Jubi to enclose those of the Alliance. But a Bijudama from Gyuki plus some air palms, and vacuum cuts from the samurai and the wind jutsus from the Suna made them retreat, but with the persistence of Madara and Obito they were trapped. But everyone decided to charge head-on, and Hiba was at the head with her mother on one side and her brother on the other, but in her hands she had 2 Rasen shurikens that shone with power, but Naruto had red eyes with clear intentions of cutting someone in half. In addition to Acnologia's wings and her arm that she didn't have before due to the explosion she used that time are back, but it was different. The Alliance took the form of a red bird due to the chakra, but much of it was black due to the Acnologia. Rias had thrown her Rasen shuriken at death while her brother focused on Madara, who narrowly avoided it, taking a large part of his waist along with the connection with the Jubi. Madara, brats, you're not doing too bad, he said gracefully to make a hand pose. Katan, great fiery annihilation. But Naruto and Rias checked their palms to reinforce their chakra that were in alliance to protect them from the fire, and the kunais that Obito threw, and the rotating saws of Madara's Susanoo. In that, Obito appeared above Rias, but she dodged him and then prepared a chakra claw, and Hiba charged against Obito along with Kushina, who was brandishing her sword. But suddenly everything begins to shake and the walls that confined the movements of the Jubi fell, so that later 2 of its 10 tails regenerated, and then roared with vigor. And Madara saying that the fun begins. The Jubi's technique was causing earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes and thunderstorms. The technique itself was a cataclysm of natural disasters. Acnologia, Naruto, get stronger quickly. It's the Tenpenchi, he said to the Jinchuriki. Naruto did as he was told and strengthened his body and those he was sharing chakra with. After the explosion, it was clear that the alliance was safe thanks to the Rias that sacrificed a large part of the shaka. His blood ran down his forehead and right arm, but he smiled with an unbreakable will. At that, the Jubi began to change shape. Instead of a skinny humanoid, it now began to have body mass and more. Its jaw almost fell to the ground and something similar to a lump of meat came out of its mouth, but suddenly it opened like a flower. At that, the Jubi began to make a super Bija lady that was almost the same size as him. In that, the alliance thanks to Ino, who connected to the minds of the shinobi, to guide them in the hand positions for the earth wall. The Super Bija Lady Hiba went live to the Shinobi Alliance, and Killer Bee in Hachibi form was trying to divert it with her Bija ladies, but they lacked power. Killer Bee, I won't make it in time, thought Bee. The Super Bija Lady was knocking down the earth walls and approaching those of the Alliance, but a huge shadow was in front of them. Acnologia. The black dragon was resisting the attack with its claws, using its tails as levers. Naruto, damn, resist Naruto, he thought to himself using the Acnologia form. Kushina, Naruto! The red-haired girl screamed in anguish. But before going to help him, the Super Bija lady had disappeared, so that in front of Rias and Kushina a 3-pointed kunai appeared that they would never forget. The yellow lightning had arrived and had also teleported the Super Bija lady. Kushina, Minato! She said happily, seeing her husband. Rias, Dad! She said happily and sighed with relief that her father had arrived. But then a shockwave suddenly arrived. It was the attack of the Super Biju Dama del Jubi that had impacted in the sea, but even so the shockwave was tremendous. Acnologia, Naruto, I didn't need your help, growled Naruto in Biju form. Minato just laughed nervously before turning his attention to the Jubi. Minato, we will have to deal with the Jubi, there will be time for reconciliation, he said, looking at the Jubi seriously. Besides, he is not coming alone, he said, and at his side appeared the second Hokage Tobirama Senju along with the third Hiruzen Sarutobi and the first Hokage Hashirama Senju. Those in the alliance were shocked to learn that they had the Hokages on their side, and morale began to fill the alliance. But suddenly an unwanted player arrived. Madara, finally! You're here. Hashirama, he said as he looked at him with his Edo Tensei bracelets with palpable excitement of fighting his rival. Hashirama, I'll deal with you later. he said, pointing at him with his finger, causing his mood to break. But we'll deal with the Jubi first, he said, pointing at the 10 tails. At that moment, 2 other people arrived who Naruto didn't want to see even in his death. Rias, wow, look who came to the party, she said with a smile, but the vein on her temple was a clear sign of her anger. What did she eat all this time to rival me in that aspect? She thought with annoyance, seeing the bust of her friend/rival that was the same size as her, and she hoped her eyesight was bad. But were those chest bandages? Satsuki, well, better late than never, loser, she said, crossing her arms and looking for her. No, I mean Naruto. But I didn't see him. Ikki, I'm here too, sister. I'm glad to see you too, he said sarcastically for the lack of attention. Acnologia, Naruto, of all possible things, I never expected you to survive. After I extracted Kurama's chakra from you and against the revived, your luck surprises me once again, or will it just be your stupidity that saves you? He exclaimed angrily, looking at his brother and his ex. Right now he just wanted to kill her. The reason why he doesn't kill her is because he needs her alive, since he will not be in this world very soon, if his partner's assumption was correct. He would have to break the seal and therefore release those monstrous amounts of power that would turn his body to ashes, and also his soul will not be in the pure world, since his consciousness and soul will be inside an artifact that, according to his partner, was his own creation, where the alarms that were its bearers stop when they die after fulfilling their objectives. Satsuki, Naruto, she said, seeing the state he was in, and wanted to approach him only to receive a warning growl. Rias took the lead while her teammates followed her. Naruto had to return to his normal form to heal his wounds, since the healing factor was not his strong point nor Acnologia's, which was the only bad thing about both of them, and Acnologia made a mental note to learn divine healing arts in other realities if she had time. Rias, Team 7 is reborn here and now, she said, clapping her fists and smiling optimistically. Well, as I wish, I'll finish this quickly, and what follows is filling. Now we go with the Naruto Rias Satsuki vs Madara fight in 6 paths mode. Madara, they believe they can determine me. I have the eye of the sage of the 6 paths and his power, he said, smiling arrogantly. Rias didn't say anything but created a Rasengan with Shikaku's chakra. Satsuki used her Chidori. Naruto, let's see how long you last, old man, said Madara, channeling the chakra into his hand. And the chakra overflowing from Naruto created the ghostly form of Acnologia that made Madara sweat but kept his confidence. But suddenly Rias and Satsuki were going to collide their attacks against each other, but the Uchiha using her Rin and Sharingan changed places and put Madara in the middle of the attacks, but Madara used his Limbo clone to get out of the attack, but he didn't expect the speed and power that Naruto was receiving the blow full on, causing him to spit blood. Well, here I jump to where Kaguya enters and they fight in the dimensions. Everything goes the same as in the canon, except that Ikki did accompany them with Kakashi, and also the moment of Ikki's Hexijutsu that took Kaguya and the girls so much by surprise that they couldn't get out of the trance. Only Naruto reacted in time by landing a punch in his face that was so powerful that it almost made him break the speed of sound. When they arrived at the snowy reality, Naruto broke the seal that held Acnologia, setting him free, but his body at that moment was nothing more than dust. Kaguya had recognized the being's chakra signature, but her mind, corrupted by power, did not let her think clearly, and she began to attack. But Satsuki and Rias do what they can, and using the discrimination that Acnologia made, they sealed Kaguya, but Acnologia was not going to leave it like that. When the Bijus left Kaguya, Issei did not slow down and gathered much of his power and unleashed it in a roar that literally disintegrated and left not even a single bit of what was in the sky. When everyone returned and the Hokages returned to the pure world, only Minato, Kushina, Rias, Satsuki, and the tailed beasts remained. Shikaku, it's been a long time since we were free, he said, smiling. Matatabi, it seems like a dream, he said, looking at his brothers and approaching Mayo or Issei. Gyuki, I think I'll go back to B. I got so used to his horrible rap that it's weird not hearing it, he said, looking at Kurama. Kurama didn't say anything, he just looked at his Jinchuriki's belly. Kurama, what will you do, brother? He said as everyone looked at the dragon who hadn't spoken in this whole matter. Acnologia, Issei, I will travel through the dimensions, that is what I always do, although I will visit you from time to time. We also have the mental link, no matter how far away I am, I will always be with you, he said while laughing a little and then opening his arms. Now come and give your older brother a hug, he said, lying with his powers of attraction through the Banzotenin. He grabbed his brothers and gave them a tremendous hug. Some complained and others kicked in the case of Kurama and Shikaku. Minato, and my son? Why hasn't he come back? He said doubtfully, looking at the black dragon. Acnologia, Issei, true, you didn't know it, but the seal that contained me was like the internal doors. When Naruto opened the seal, my power came out with all its strength, he said seriously, so that Minato and the others' present's blood ran dry. He began to cry and he didn't know why. In fact, he did know, but he refused to accept it. Kushina, what do you mean? The Uzumaki said, stuttering, her breathing becoming labored. Minato, being a genius, understood what they told him and just clenched his fists and teeth in rage and sadness. He felt like this was all his fault, and he was sure that Acnologia wouldn't lie. He had no reason to do so, and he worried about how this would affect Kushina. Acnologia, but since his soul now belongs to me, I will let you talk to him one last time just to see how you fall into the infernal abyss of failure, he said, while his pearly eyes turned blood red and he laughed in a macabre way. A white light came out of Acnologia's mouth, and the light transformed into Naruto in a ghostly form. Kushina, hi son, sniff my baby said, trying to touch him only to pass through his ghostly body. Kushina couldn't hold it in any longer and broke into tears and begging for forgiveness for being a terrible mother. Everyone looked at that with discomfort except for Issei, who enjoyed the suffering. Now when Naruto got over all this drama, he turned around and looked at Acnologia and nodded. Acnologia, Issei, getting the message, extended his claw to the ground where Naruto stood, and before everyone's eyes, turned into particles of light that entered Acnologia. Acnologia, Issei, before I leave, he said, for a claw of darkness to dig into Rias's chest. That he didn't expect this, but the next thing he knew, he was in the realm of unconsciousness, since the pain was so overwhelming that he fainted. Alerting everyone, but what the material hand Oscar saw was another replica of Rias, but when they looked at it closely they felt its power, and couldn't help but feel it chill. Acnologia, Issei, I'm taking this hitch. I have big plans for her, he. Ha 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 ha. He started laughing and then laughed like a madman. Everyone was scared but didn't say anything. The tailed beast just growled at the soul that their brother had in his claws. It was a secret that all the beasts hated that brat. Acnologia, I'm leaving, goodbye, he said, to open a dimensional breach.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.